as opposed to the he wall.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like a rap.
Yeah, Bill.
Oh, my God.
Chug that water.
Are we going to start recording?
I think we have. Are we?
Oh,
gosh.
Oh, boy.
God damn it, Frank. Welcome
I
to
intentionally did that.
Wow, welcome to another milestone episode of
Episode 50, everyone!
Man, I had so many fucking goals for where things I would have done by now for the podcast, and I've done almost zero. You're welcome, audience.
Yeah, where's that
Yay.
website, Bill?
You know,
Where's that website, Bill, huh?
I still want faxes.
I really did mean to do it, but
You fax me
and my
your clip
fucking
art.
job was like, you better get this stuff done or you're fired. I was like, oh no. Yeah. Okay. So you know what? We might have talked about it. Oh, mic introduction. I'm Bill, and I did drink some water.
Wow.
I'm Genevieve, and I just did my first escape room.
I'm Frank. I'm on mic number 4 today, which is inherently less than 6 and much worse.
That's none of their problem.
I'm Lisa, and I took a nap today.
Oh,
When?
it wasn't even a real nap. It was 30 minutes.
That's a
That's
nap.
a nap.
Cat nap.
Fuck
Or
you.
Power nap.
I was with her all day and did not notice.
You were
Shows
just
how much
staring
he
at her
pays
the whole time, aren't
attention.
you?
I'm Jake.
Kill yourselves.
Whoa.
Try.
Join us for the
I'm
audience.
immortal.
All of you.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
End it.
Jeez Louise. All
You're
right.
listening to this
Now our
podcast?
sponsor.
What's
No.
wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Well, that's a valid question.
I have described this as the podcast for people with poor taste in podcasts.
And people. So we'll talk. We're going to talk about some stuff today, but I've decided if we go off the rails, we're just going to let it happen. I mean, it's our 50th episode. You're going to get a lot of us, a lot of personality in this episode. Woo! Look at my personality. I have so much personality.
And that's Bill's personality, everyone.
And that's me. You know
Well,
what?
that's the whole thing.
Okay.
That's all of it.
Anybody watch the fucking YouTube channel? Good Magical Morning.
No.
You watch
No.
that? Because I watched it. Some Redditor linked it, and it was like these two guys, and there was just so much. Their hair was gelled, and
wait, is
look
this
at all
Rhett
my
and Link?
personality. I couldn't do it. This, I think our podcast is appropriate energy level. Typically, it's good for somebody on like barbiturates.
Which is really, the goalpost.
Most of us have negative energy.
It
We
balances
suck
it
it
out.
from those around us.
It balances out. You watch those people who are too hype, and then you come listen to us, and you're like, oh, everything's all right.
Yeah,
Hey.
My anxiety can subside now.
just channel it into me. Lifetime of anxiety.
I am now a black hole of
So
emotion.
G and I just met up with a friend of mine from work and his friend, and
Oh, my gosh.
did an escape room here in town. I had never done one ever, so I didn't know. I'm like, what? How does this even?
Well, we got there late, so it was a little more confusing to start with.
Yeah, so we came in and saved the day. It was pretty great.
Yep.
But they had I thought it was just gonna be like regular clues, and you're like, oh, let me open this. There's like levers and shit. There was a little well, and when you lift a fake well in a room that clearly doesn't have access to water, and when you lift the bucket to the well, it opens a box,
Whoa.
and in the box was sand, and
love
in the
sand.
sand was bones.
I love
and
bones.
Cups.
And
Herb was in the bog. The bog
cups.
was in the tree.
Cups.
Everything.
Yeah, cups.
Anytime
Oh,
Bill
I thought you said
experiences a new
cops.
object in this world, he has to say it that way.
So this box was filled with police officers and sand for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they
And
were alive.
bones.
And bones.
And bones, which
The
is
cops
very
had bones.
suspicious.
Yeah.
And also there were other bones.
And,
Multiple
Yes.
sets of bones.
and then there was
Every
a
type
key. There was a key in the room, and I made a mistake of assuming that the people who we were late, so they were in there before us, had done anything thoroughly. Genevieve got in the room and looked at it, was like, oh, there's a key hanging from the tree.
Like,
There's a tree in the room?
Yeah, there was a
well,
fake
a fake
tree in
tree.
the room, just like a
Like a
fake
plastic
well.
tree?
Lots of fake
A
stuff.
flaccid tree?
They had
Plastic.
a.
Plastic.
They had
I
a.
know.
Can I talk now? Is it good for me to go?
Sure, fine, whatever.
Okay. There was a washboard there that didn't have anything to do with the clues.
You really wanted to use that some way. You
I
were
really
like,
thought
this
it was-
needs to
Anyway.
happen and be involved.
So it ended up being like a murder cabin. It was spooky, and the scenario was like we were lost in the woods and needed to go in there to survive. And then for some reason we walked into the cabin and then had to escape the murder cabin, even though...
Why would you escape a murder cabin?
I don't know.
You can just murder
Yeah,
everyone.
now that you point that out, it is weird because like the premise is that we're out hiking and lost in the woods, and then we come upon this cabin.
We go in the front door.
Yeah, like you actively are trying to get in this cabin. That's where like the key was to the mailbox that had clues in it to open the door, and like you go into the room, and then in that cabin room is more clues, and you have to escape that from other than the front door.
I'm noticing a distinct lack of murder in this description.
Yeah. Well, there was like bloody weapons and
a bloody
handprints.
rag.
And lots of creepy dolls.
And
So you missed the murder.
there were weapons.
Well, I guess we were trying to get through the cabin to get away from
What
the
if
murder.
it was a hunter's cabin?
There were weapons on the wall covered in
And
blood.
dolls.
Creepo
And
dolls.
creepo
Like
dolls.
deer dolls?
No. Like
He's just a
deer dolls,
taxidermist.
like little deer action figures.
Yeah, I don't know. You said dolls in a cabin in the woods, and I assume it's a
Like-
taxidermist.
Wait, there was a deer hanging
Like
on the
Victorian
wall.
dolls.
There was a,
That we kept thinking was part of it.
there was like a deer head hanging on the wall that I thought was part of the puzzle because they had a deer plate and it had these big antlers. Then there was this done deer on the wall that had no antlers. I was like, we gotta find the antlers and put it on the deer and it'll activate something.
Of course you'd think that.
Yeah, and the guy was like,
It's like, wow, this redneck needs to get out
he's
of
like,
here.
usually people aren't too familiar with the outdoors in here. They're like, yeah, that does nothing to somebody just broke the deer.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So they
But it was pretty neat. There was like a cabinet we couldn't open until we arranged all these plastic cups after I figured out the numbers totaled 165 in each row.
Wow.
And then the magnets like threw a switch and the cabinet opened.
Yep,
I was like,
pretty
this
cool.
is way cooler than I expected. I didn't expect any magnet action, okay? Just strictly mechanical. That's what I was thinking.
Mechanical.
One day I'm going to build a house, and my entire house is going to be like this. Like, there's not going to be locks on any of the doors or anything
all
like
mechanical
that. It's
or
all
weird.
like you got to stack cups in a particular way to like get to the bathroom. And I'm not going to tell anyone.
I gotta
not gonna
pee.
tell anyone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
I'm
pee
not
in the
gonna
cup.
I like how Frank says he's not going to tell anybody. Like anybody's going to come to Frank's house anyway.
Yeah, it
Or
is.
listen to
gonna
this
be you.
podcast.
That's true.
Well, I mean, if they do, they'll leave pretty quick because they'll get annoyed.
yeah.
If they can get out.
I mean, like,
Or
oh,
maybe it
yeah,
locks
they can
behind them.
No, I can see he's throwing a fucking
There's
It's
Halloween.
one
like
lock
the
that's
Saw
on the
house.
entrance.
That's what it would
Yeah.
be.
It was like Murder House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gonna throw a Halloween party. One couple from work's gonna show up and be like, "This guy's fucking weird," and his wife's gonna be like, "No,
If they work
come
with
on."
me, then they already know that.
Like, oh god, that's
No,
why
he's being nice. He invited us to his party. We should go.
That's why this guy's gonna be like, "This guy's fucking weird." So he's like, "No, come on, give him a chance." And then Frank will play a video like, "If you want to enter the mansion, you have to
how
drink
Frank
out
sounds.
of these cups.
That's exactly how it sounds.
These
Apparently,
cups full
Frank's
of-
going to suffer some brain damage at some point.
cups full of blood."
Probably from all the traps that I'm setting for people around my house.
I figured he was putting on an affectation for the video tutorial on how to enter the house.
Yeah, that was like.
Man, tutorial.
Please enjoy this 10-minute tutorial on how to open the front door.
That sounds more like you. A tutorial that doesn't actually go anywhere.
It just keeps
goes on
talking.
and on, and you're like, wait a minute, is this a...
Is
And
this
it's
actually going
just
to tell
like
me?
And
the
It
handle.
winds up being like instructions to a Lego set that isn't even in the room with you.
The door's been unlocked the whole time?
It's really it's just all there to troll people,
Right.
Oh my goodness.
So,
and they get it every time.
we ended up... So we skipped a toolbox, and that was supposed to give us a hint on these jars.
That you figured out anyway.
Yeah, I figured it out because the math was like addition. I was like, oh, one was a key, and the other one you were supposed to figure out the other number. And there was like 5 different jars, and you had to figure out which 2 matched together. And then I just added the numbers until I figured out these 2 jars went together. But in the toolbox was a picture to link them. And then we pulled out this pipe, and we're like, what the fuck? We think we had to get in this toolbox.
You smoked, and then what?
Yeah. The guy's like, you get out of the room with that thing in your hand. So we stuck it in a hole in the wall, and a secret door opened up, and we escaped into the hallway. But he was like, only 10% of people do it in 3 clues or less. But our 4th clue is technically the pipe. So I don't know. I don't know if I really can. Am I
Wait, so
really?
the key was the clue? There's
No.
No. Because
No, the pipe.
Yeah, right. Because we still had stuff in the room that we hadn't done, but we skipped past it, like we didn't need it. We thought that the pipe had to do, like it wasn't the key. It had something to do with the things that we hadn't finished. So we were not ready to leave the room, essentially. Like we were like, there's things that need to be done before we get the key out of here.
But isn't the whole point to escape? So what else could you possibly need to do in the room besides escape?
Well, the pipe, it was just a T pipe with a little notch in the end. And I thought it somehow connected with whatever is in the toolbox to be more obviously used in a way. I didn't know there were holes in the walls. And then the guy's like, you get out of the room with that. I'm like, what the fuck? And
Wait,
then
who
he's
told
like,
you
there's
that?
holes on the wall.
the guy who's running the room.
So
Oh,
he watches you on a camera.
Yeah.
And he volunteered information because we figured out the cups for the magnet thing that I mentioned earlier, but they weren't centered. He's like, just center the cups. And then we were able to keep going. But you could look at the camera and you go, big brother, I need a hint.
That's what you have to call him.
And he would give you a hint, like on the TV.
I don't like that.
Not a fan,
Well,
but
we got 3. That's what I was talking about, the whole hint system. Ugh.
I don't like that hint though. That's fine that they told you to center it
It
because you
wasn't
got
a
it
hint.
right,
He was
but-
just like, you got to get out. You're confused. So anyway, that was it. We stuck the key in the hole and we escaped.
As you do.
the other part of that was, I think, I can't remember his name, but Tim's friend who we went with, he said that most escape rooms have an actual door that you know you're supposed to go through. This was like a secret door that was disguised as like
A wall.
yeah.
Further confuzzling
So
me.
like it wasn't obvious, like a pipe and no door, no visible door. Like how you couldn't put that really together to be a key unless you were really observant about.
Reflections
Yeah.
upon the escape room. Time went way faster than I expected.
Yes.
So like I was like, the one guy was really quick to jump to getting clues. I was like, can we not get clues? Like, just think with your brain. And he's like, we only have 20 minutes left. I thought we'd only been there for 5 minutes, you know? And then it was like 8 minutes left. I'm like, oh shit, I guess we need another one. The other thing I think we failed to do is we should have just announced things as we noticed them. Because, like, I found this bloody rag, and you were supposed to use the rag to wipe this mirror to...
Like it would erase some of the words that were written on it to reveal one of the codes.
Yeah, and then we would have gotten in that other lockbox. But everybody else in the group didn't know there was a rag. I was just like, oh, here's a rag. I should have been like, everybody, this rag is suspicious. And if Genevieve had done that with the holes...
Like
We would've-
everyone,
we would've
there are
known to fill
holes
them
in this
up.
wall.
Say it, buddy. There's a hole over here.
would've
What do you
known-
think that's for?
We would have known to fill that hole with
We all
The
know
thing
what it's
though, like,
for.
okay, so it's like it's supposed to look like the inside.
I
Of,
fucking
Silly.
delivered that punchline, you sons of bitches.
it's the walls of this are like a cabin, so they're just like wood panels, and then there's like 2 or 3 holes or something like that on the one wall.
There was 5.
Okay, all right,
2
sure,
plus 3.
sure,
It
whatever.
was,
Or maybe 6.
There were 8.
Either way, like originally when I did find the holes, I was like, oh, that's odd. Maybe it's just the patterning of the wood. And then like I looked through. What?
The pattern of the wood to have holes?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
Maybe they just got like scrap wood. I wasn't. All right, shut up.
Maybe it was a tree
Because-
that got shot.
Because look, when you looked in them, it was like all dark, and then there was like a shimmer of metal. Like it's just straight up to the other wall. Like it's not like
You
lit
thought that was
up
the
in any
pattern
way.
in the wood.
I don't know. I was like, but then I was like, well, I guess that's nothing because like there's nothing there, and like if you feel through, it's just like a
That's
hard
very
surface.
suspicious.
Yeah. Well, then I was like, that's weird. And then when you found the key, and he was like, that's the key to get out. It clicked in my mind, but then I was like, but what if that's just like part of the wall and we're destroying this escape like I was
So I
like
found the keyhole on the key knob, but you know,
Craig-
maybe it's just there for decoration.
Maybe this door just has a hole in the handle pattern. I don't know. I don't think it's a keyhole.
What else could we put in this hole?
oh my
Zip.
goodness.
Your penis?
Yes, my penis.
Is that where we went?
I don't know. You tell me, Bill.
That's where
Oh,
you
man,
went.
I already made a tool and hole joke.
No, I was gonna make fun of you because you said the key is in your hand, like you got your dick in your hand.
Ah,
No.
My dick's usually in my hand.
All right, that was a fair effort, but I'm not
It's
going to give you
detachable.
completion of that joke. So, Lisa, you said you wanted to do it. Did anybody else in the room ever do an escape room?
Yeah, I did.
What'd you think of it?
Eh.
You like that with
Of
everything.
course.
Yeah. I know.
This is about the
Well, he
amount of
doesn't have an
excitement.
emotion chip yet, so.
Yeah, this is about the amount of excitement you
objectively.
exhibited after going to Versailles or whatever. Yeah, France was okay.
Yeah.
I got
I went-
diarrhea one day.
I went with my work team 2 years ago, and I didn't really want to go.
What a fucking shocker.
Yeah, right. And but we got free food afterwards on the company, so I was like, all right, fine, whatever.
Well, what was
we'll
the
go.
food? Everybody's on the edge of their seat.
It was Italian food.
Ooh.
Was it a pizza?
A
No.
pazza?
Was it pasta?
Pazza?
Pazza.
Pazza.
And the food, of course, was related to the escape room.
I don't remember what I got. We
oh
went to
my
an Italian
god!
restaurant.
And they're all co-workers from a pizza place.
Yes. Anyway, our escape room was like you're a team of bank robbers who
In a pizza place?
have to escape the bank.
Pizza Bank.
Yeah.
Oh, they
There's
would do
a
so much better
national-
than money banks.
There's a pizza crisis in the country, so now there's pizza banks.
Isn't
Yes.
that just the name for the Italian National Bank?
Yes.
Pizza bank. It's pronounced pazza.
Why are
Damn
you saying?
straight.
Why are you doing this?
Did you forget my incident with the...
The pazza.
Oh right.
There's no I
There's
in
no I in
pizza.
pizza. That's what I learned.
Holy shit! that
No,
was like
pizza's
5
a
episodes
team
ago.
effort.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Go.
You're in the
power
pizza
through
bank.
it. Power through it.
The whole idea was you're a team of bank robbers who need to escape because you went into the bank and now the bank locked behind you. So you've already robbed the bank and you're just trying to get out before the silent alarm triggers the police to show up.
Do you have
or
to carry
something
bags
like
of
that.
money around with you the whole time?
No.
Oh.
It ended up being me and one other guy who like solved the entire thing by ourselves because everybody else was like, I don't know. They were looking at like the stupidest shit. Like they
the
would look
pizza.
at like the thermostat and they're like, "Oh, is there a clue in here?" And it's like, "No, it's the fucking thermostat. It tells you what temperature it is
Actually,
in
that
here."
was kind of part of ours. There's a part where you had to use the.
If we set it to 120 degrees and stay here for 4 days,
Yeah.
We will all escape.
door will
in a
unlock.
way. Yeah. They will carry us away. We won't even have to move.
Yeah. So that was like really annoying that we were the only two that were like actually that we were the only two that were doing anything useful, and then it took us almost the entire. They give you an hour. I think actually they give you like an hour and 20 minutes for that one. This is supposedly one of the harder ones, and we got it with like 5 minutes left. One of the interesting things was, at the time I was still in a different position, which was essentially a call center, right? And one of the clues involved like area codes for, I don't know, the whole thing was, you're in a bank, right? And there was like
pizza.
an expansion plan for the bank with like all these new branches going up, and somehow the area code like
Stromboli places.
was part of a clue. And we were like, oh, they didn't expect people who worked in a fucking call center. We're like, we didn't have to like do half of the work for the clue because it was just like, oh, what's the 202 area code? Washington, D.C. Like, we just knew it.
Oh,
you know
nice.
what I mean? We were just like, all right, cool. It just like breezed right through. That's probably because like I said, we ended up with like 5 minutes. We skipped like a solid like 10 steps or something like that, just like knowing that stuff.
We skipped, I think, 2. 1 to get in the building. We had to read through these postcards, and they had codes on them for
the number to get the
the
lock
number
off.
to get the lock in, and we were supposed to like look at these bones and know that all the cards from like 1918 were the ones we needed. We just grouped the numbers into sets of 3 and like brute forced it. We figured it out, and then oh yeah, and then the jar thing, we skipped that one, but we weren't quite as elite hex or as Frank skipping 10 steps.
Yeah. I mean, it was
We'll
luck.
get there.
Was it the same company at which you work now?
Yes.
Boy, they must have been a riot.
What?
What?
A pizza
The
riot.
guys you worked with?
Yeah, they
Down
were
at
pretty
the
boring.
pizza bank.
My new team is much more fun and much more young.
How do you make what you do? Can
Pizza?
we mention our fields? Well, I say I'm a QA.
I
You're-
prefer not to, just because.
Is it relevant?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's setting the tone for what kind of people they are, you know?
they're money people.
Yeah, money people. There you go.
yeah.
That's fine.
You're
Yeah.
a math nerd.
Exactly.
All right. Kill me.
Okay, one sec.
So, yeah, Lisa, after our stories, do you still want to go to an escape room?
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the things, especially from Frank's story about not everyone being helpful or people being too dumb to help, I think you need to go with people that will A, play into the story and actually get into it, and B, be useful.
What if the only reason that you are into it is because you were semi-forced to go and just want to get the fuck out? Like your actual
you seriously
goal
do
is,
just want to get out.
Yeah.
Then I feel like you'd be motivated and quite good at it.
There's this like mentality that I don't get. Like, how could you go to one of those events and not want to be helpful? We were
Like,
talking about
what
this.
is the point?
We were talking about this earlier. Like when I ran Office Olympics, there was a team that needed a player for basketball, and I had a rule that everybody like could only do one event a day. That way, nobody bogarted all the events. And they're like, "Can we make an exception to the rule? We don't have anybody to play basketball." I'm like, "You have 6 people and 2 of them can't play basketball tomorrow?" They're like, "Well, such and such can, but they said they're not very good at basketball, so they don't want to." What the fuck do you mean they don't want to? Like, you do for your team, you know? I just can't wrap my head around being like, we don't want to be here. We're not going to try.
I don't want to do this, so everyone on my team or my group has to just suffer or deal with it.
I am that person.
How the fuck?
Of course you are.
I'm at work to work. We can fuck off, but I don't want to play basketball. There are people who do. They can play basketball.
Yeah. Our work, Jake and I work at the same company. We have an entire league for basketball and multiple other sports.
All power to you, but I'm going to go home and jerk off again.
Well, that's fine. The deal was that they voluntarily joined this thing that I organized.
If you initially signed up for it,
right?
Then
That's what it was. Yeah, it wasn't like he just decided to make everyone do this.
There's enough events for 6 people to participate in during that day. 2 people who actually wanted to play couldn't do it. A third one signed up, and then of the 3, they were just like, "Nah, we're not going to do it. We'll do these other events, but we don't feel like doing this one." And I was like, "Okay, well, you're a fucking bum." Not like they were forced into anything.
And it's not like you just said, I think, but like they had options about who to pick for what event, so they could have chosen more wisely, I guess.
Bill, I think
that's different from how I thought it went down.
I think one thing that you're missing is that you organized it, and therefore people were like, "Oh God, that Bill guy."
Actually, they all loved it. It was great.
We had one guy. We sent out a survey. We were like, "Would you be interested in this?" He said yes. We put him on a team, and he didn't even respond to the group chat for his team.
What?
I was like, "Why are you like this? Why even bother?" I don't get it.
Like, if you're going to commit to it and then you can't for some reason, at least be like, "Hey, sorry, I wanted to join or whatever, but now I can't."
Yeah, sorry, I had to go shave my cat.
Yeah, but now, I learned something, because now I know if we're on a sinking ship, who I'm just going to fucking leave there. You know what I mean? I'll be like, you 4 people.
Wait, hold on.
See you later.
You say go shave your cat as if that's a ridiculous thing to do. Someone in this room has shaved a cat.
I tried to shave my cat. I figured she was shedding a lot and getting a lot of hairballs, so I was like, poor cat, she's probably too hot. So I took my clippers and I tried to clip her up. And I really thought she hated it until I shifted her around. I hold her and she's like, still sort of fighting to get away, but purring up a storm. And
she didn't look pleased at all.
Yeah, so I got maybe 40% of her hair clipped, and it looked terrible.
She had mange or something. His roommates later were like, I was talking to them about something else, and they're like, the cat went by. She was like, "Is the cat okay? We've noticed she's got spots of hair missing." I'm like, "Oh yeah, Bill tried to shave her."
Oh my God. Why would you think that was a good idea?
Why? Because people get their cats shaved all the time.
That's true. And they'd bring them to, semi-professionals.
Well, that's what it was. I watched a video of this.
I watched a video about pussy shaving.
I watched a video of this really old
Everyone likes
woman.
shaved pussy.
And she's like, gotta hold them here and keep them calm. And you turn it on, and then you just hold it against them, and they realize it's okay, and then you can start to trim them, and you have to be very careful, because cat skin is very thin, so if you tear it, it could be not very good. So I was like, all right, I won't shave it all the way down. It turns out you kind of need to put on the lowest setting to get anything done effectively. I don't know how these fuckers do it. I don't know how on earth they trim their hair like they give them like buzz cuts because I was clipping every.
Wait, no, I'm just imagining a cat with just the top of their head shaved off.
I was clipping every which way, and the fucking fur would just come off in clumps. I couldn't get a good run or nothing.
Mm-hmm. And she hated getting near your limbs.
She didn't have. She didn't have a hairball for like 2 weeks, so.
You should have got one of they have little cat groomer gloves and you just pet the cat and it grooms it.
I've got a little brush I use on her.
I need to get one of those.
And she likes it and she rubs her face on it and then as I pet she just starts chomping. Like, why are you chewing a brush? I don't know. If I'm on my cell phone, she comes over and she chews on my phone. The fuck am I supposed to do with that?
She's also got rickets. I think we need to put her down.
Oh my god, she stretches her legs and apparently she's ill.
She did this weird squat thing as she was trying to walk away from me when I was petting her. Like it was like she looked like she shit her pants.
Here's
was trying
her
to
pants.
walk. Yeah.
Here's
cat pants.
Here's the kind of be all end all question as far as this offshoot topic is concerned.
50th episode.
Did the removal of even just some of her hair lend any benefit in helping you guys escape that room?
No.
Okay.
But it was just a fun topic.
I thought about it.
I wish I had my semi-shaved cat here.
Yeah. She
would figure it out.
Let me put some of this cat hair into this keyhole.
Oh, it worked. Everyone knows cat hair is highly corrosive.
Used to melt steel beams.
Yeah. That's what happened on 9/11.
Oh my God! It was just a plane of cats.
No, the plane
cat
was full
factory
of
took over one of
jet
the floors.
A cat
and
factory.
cat hair.
There
Now,
we go.
does the factory produce cats or is it a factory run by cats?
Oh, okay. We're talking about the cat factory.
Yeah.
The cat-tery.
Can we move on?
Please, let's go.
Can we escape the escape room topic? Is there a clue that we need?
Die!
Do we have? Is there a clue that we need to like find?
Suffer.
Do I need to
Suffer as Christ
yeah.
suffered.
get my raging clue all over
Gotta
something?
get a raging
Ooh.
clue on.
I've got a raging clue, you guys.
We
Where's your
just found
clue?
a Blue's Clues.
All right, enough. Okay, enough over there.
I thought that
We're
was
fucking
pretty
singing Blues Clues.
good. Well, I was singing.
You interrupt my cat 9/11 joke to talk about cat factories,
Thought you
and then when I finally shut up, you stop talking about cat factories because that's how good the joke was, and then you keep on rolling when we're trying to change subjects. We're acting like it's so hard to listen to me talk about shaving cats over here, and you're gonna start talking about Blues Clues.
Yep.
It was
Sorry,
an effective
everyone, for your
pivot.
ears.
We should shave Blue.
Blue the
Blue's
imaginary
dead. That show was on too long ago.
Too long
Dead.
ago.
But didn't Blue and what's her face have a baby?
Magenta?
Yeah.
And Blue and Steve had a baby.
No.
Blue and Steve?
After Steve came back from college on
No.
one
Oh my
spring break.
gosh. That's why he
They
came
said,
back from college.
I remember I used to babysit you. Boop, ba-doop, bow, boop, ba, ba-doop, ba-doop, ba, boop.
Is this supposed to be a
It's
weird
the worst porn music I've ever
Yeah.
heard.
That was some cool slap.
It's Seinfeld over here.
Is it porn or is it Seinfeld?
So you know
Both.
that. So in the Seinfeld, is it a theme song even?
Like a
Yeah.
It
little riff?
involves a lot of slap bass. I always picture Kramer as the one playing the slap bass.
Well, because he's kind of that crazy, all over the place guy.
Could be. I doubt it.
I don't think it is.
Probably someone who
You
looks
just
like
said
him.
you thought it was.
I picture it. I didn't say I think it was. Lisa, you would not make a
Did
very
you
good
picture
lawyer.
it in your thoughts?
What?
I rest my case.
Black Wake updated, since nobody seems to have another topic.
Do it.
They added 3 more ships, which I was very pleased about, and they're like still tuning because the game is in like beta or something, but it's 2 years old, and people are like, "This is a dead game."
They said dad game.
Yeah, dead game. So apparently it's already gone through its whole user life cycle, but the devs are still addressing it. I don't know. Everybody who I play with, save for like 10 people, is brand new. There's like 10 people who are level 580, and then everyone's level 2.
What do you mean by dead game? For
Like no user base.
but you have people you're playing. I'm confused by. the term? If there's people you're playing with, aren't there users playing it?
I mean, even Halo 2, before they shut the servers down, had like 20 people to play, but they went from thousands and thousands to 20.
Oh.
So, I don't know. Anybody else? Any of you ever played a game all the way to when the servers got turned off?
No.
No.
They finally shut down old school RuneScape. I was reading about that. I think you guys remember you've all played RuneScape, right?
Yep.
Nope.
I haven't, no.
Oh.
Explain RuneScape.
It was big when I was in middle school, so 15 years ago, and it was like a free version of WoW, but it was medieval times without fantasy shit. And the game progressed, and they started making it like as it would just all run in your browser on Java, which was pretty impressive. And then it got to the point where like it had been so upgraded and changed. We were like, this sucks. We want the old one. So they started up 2007 Scape, which was the version of the game from 2007, and the game continued to progress, even until now. And I guess the numbers dwindled enough on 2007 Scape, and the company wasn't making any money off of it, so they just said, all right, fuck it, we're shutting her down. Now it's just this new stuff. And the community, from what I've been reading, has been really dealing with some tough money, like microtransactions issues, like those roulette loot boxes and stuff.
Yeah.
So you pay for the only way to get an item is to get it through a loot box, but the loot box has a random thing in the box, and of course they can manipulate the likelihood and stuff like that. So somebody, I think, just recently, some country just ruled that is a form of gambling.
I think it was Belgium.
Yeah.
Yay, Belgium.
You lived there for a bit, right, Genevieve?
Yep.
How'd you like it?
It's nice.
How are the waffles?
Excellent waffles and French fries.
All right. Does anybody have any fond memories from the first 50 episodes that we've done together? I can tell you personally, one of my favorites was talking about launching my dead body into space.
I knew you were going to go with the broadsword motorcycle.
It's funny because I remember that moment as I cock myself back in the chair here to prepare to launch back to my home planet.
Ah, that's right.
That couldn't have happened without you, because you kept asking me questions that simply fueled the fire.
I had to get to the answer. I had to know.
I loved that it was so obvious to everyone else. So if you guys listening aren't familiar, I think it was like episode 8.
Pretty early on.
It was very early.
I don't know how we were talking about when we died.
And what we want done
when
with our
I
bodies.
die, I want to be set upon a motorcycle with a broadsword over one shoulder and a 12 gauge over the other, in a long flowing leather jacket and cool sunglasses, and launched on an intercept course with Alpha Centauri, the closest star that may have life on a planet there. And I want, hopefully there will be living things there, so that when I bust into the atmosphere, the first human they see is going to be this cool badass burning up on his way to the ground. I'll be like, what the fuck is that? And Lisa could not accept that there was any way to transport my dead body to space, then position me on a motorcycle, and then launch me in the future.
What if that's what shooting stars are? Or like meteorites when they fall to the ground? It's just other planets.
That would be convoluted and
Yeah.
nonsensical.
Well, what if it's a planet of rock people?
And
Convoluted,
We're like,
nonsensical.
oh, amazing space rocks. Let's just do whatever.
Maybe they say that.
Pretty dumb.
Maybe they say that about us. You ever think
Pretty dumb.
these
They're
rock
probably
people
right.
are like, what? I imagine that's how they talk.
Like Gollum?
I'm trying to clip.
Listen, don't you
Stop.
insult my
Oh,
people,
Stop.
Bill.
That's not a good sound.
Asshole.
Ugh.
No.
Prick.
Bill.
What? You,
You're insulting my people.
How?
Rock people? Rock people.
Rock people?
Rock people.
I thought
Rock people.
golems were mud people, and I thought they were the guardians of
Golem.
the Jewish people.
Golems?
Gollum is the counter.
You're going to hell. You're all going to hell.
Smeagol.
You go to hell and you die.
He's Smeagol's alter ego.
Rock people. Rock
So anyway,
people.
okay, thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for that one. I think we're, well, we eventually figured it out. Space elevator, then they could I'd be frozen in space. They could reposition me and melt me as needed, and then it would
Melt you as needed.
Yeah, thaw me out to position my Jimmy Johns, and then whoop, away to space.
What if they
Just
just
for
turned
Jimmy
you
John's.
into like an ice sculpture at one of their galas or something,
Wait,
and they just
what?
never thawed you?
What if they what?
Positioned you like an ice sculpture of a swan at a fundraiser gala.
I don't think there'd be a lot I could do about it. Wait,
You'd
is
be
it
dead,
us
so
doing
yes,
it,
you cannot do anything about it if
No.
you are dead.
I don't think there's much
In
I can do.
advance of your funeral launch.
Oh, okay. Now it's not the aliens doing this once I
Oh
arrive.
no, I thought it was
Right.
the
They're
aliens.
not fetching me from space and then using me as a centerpiece.
No,
Isn't
I
that
thought
what
that's
you
what you
wanted?
were talking about. Were the aliens
They're
thawing you or
amazed
the
by you.
humans?
I kind of like this idea that the aliens wouldn't even recognize that I was another life form. They'd be like, "Oh, look at this fucking weird space rock."
That's what I mean about
And
the
then I
space people.
I
the
go and warm
rocks.
up and they're like, "Boy, that thing stinks. That's a fucking stinky space rock."
And then you're just like a puddle of mass because
You would be charcoal and steel. And
No,
nothing
they
else.
fetched me. They fetched me from space before I hit their atmosphere.
Oh, I see.
No, but I thought they were supposed to find you as you ran into their atmosphere.
They could do both. I don't know how advanced they are.
maybe they're
You're not going to pin me down in a logical fallacy here when we're talking about the hypothetical technological capabilities of a
I
Here's the thing,
seriously
here's
hope
the thing.
race
well,
in millions of
Bill's funeral in space. There is no control over what the receiving aliens, if any, will be doing with him. He understands that.
he's donating his body to
They could-
aliens.
You said as much like
Mhm.
2 minutes ago. So we can conject as much as we like about how the aliens might retrieve you or miss you entirely, which, by the way, is also a
They'll
possibility.
probably
No.
I
disprobe you.
somewhat
Mhm.
hope that we push for this technology to be developed and eventually send you out.
Would you want a GoPro so that you could get the footage of it
But
too?
would we be able to receive that?
I just hope
footage?
that they wake me up.
Before September ends?
This is pretty basic hope. They wake me up, bring me back to life, make me their god king, and then I can find Lisa's living descendants and blast them with their space ray.
I hope you
That's
land
all
on
I
the
want.
trash planet.
You know, I'd say it's a worthy goal, ultimately.
Anybody else have any memories of our 50 episodes?
I liked all of the times that I talked and nothing else.
I liked the time where you talked for a podcast and then we found out your mic wasn't on.
Repeatedly.
Fucking yeah, he did it like 3 episodes, but
That
there was
was
one
good.
we couldn't salvage at all because not
It
even
didn't
like
make
the,
sense.
the secondary
No.
microphone didn't pick him up, and you went on like a 45-minute like lecture.
It was like dead
Where-
silence with
no-
us going, yeah.
yeah. You could hear our replies, but we couldn't hear what the hell you were saying. And the thing was, you had the microphone in your hand and failed to turn it on.
True facts.
Do you feel smart now, Frank?
I do.
That's why he doesn't have the one with the on-off switch.
Yeah, he doesn't have that privilege anymore.
Yeah, it was quickly revoked.
I'll hand it to him that he didn't fight that decision. You're like, no more buttons for you.
Sometimes I let him plug in the mic on his own.
Yeah.
And then if we check levels.
I can neither confirm nor deny that any of that happened.
All right. Anybody else?
Remember
really-
that time we basically wiped an episode by accident?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, when
Like,
I thought
you
the
didn't
episode was
save or
deleted.
I don't even remember
Yeah.
what that was about. Do we
It was that.
ever
It's
figure
up.
it? It's up?
think it was episode
we
7.
found most of it,
Okay.
or if not all of
Yeah,
it.
we got pretty lucky. That happened twice. One week it happened. The thing crashed, and the whole episode existed, but in 90-second clips
Mhm.
of temporary
yeah.
files, and you strung them all
Yeah.
together. And then, like the next week, it crashed again, and it didn't properly put a header on the save file, so we had to like take Audacity and import it as as raw data. And I remember I was changing these settings, and I had to like guess at the data formatting, and like it was like every 90 bits it was like the set of some data that the program needed, and it sounded fine on that setting, so I tried some other ones, and everything else just sounded like but as soon as
It's
I
our
guessed the
natural
right number,
voices.
it was clearly us talking. I think that might have been 16.
Yeah, there were definitely 2.
What were you saying there, Genevieve?
I really liked the first episode that we did at your house. That was
Oh my
Ooh.
God.
where we drew each other.
Secret
complete shit
episode.
show.
And
Yeah.
it was a total shit
That was
show.
my dad's feedback. I even told him,
Don't listen to the first
don't
few.
listen to the first one. It's a fucking mess. And he's like, well, the first one was pretty rough. I was like, no, I led with that.
Yeah, you're supposed to start from the end and work your way back to the
The
front.
content was funny, but like we had one microphone, 8 drunks.
Yeah,
6.
it was rough.
6.
Was it 6?
Yeah, 6.
Yeah.
shows
And
how
it was the
drunk I
mic
was.
sitting on like a little ottoman in the middle of us, sitting around at like a campfire, and
Because it was us 4
it was
and
bad.
Sean.
Sean and one more.
Yeah, and Kyle.
Right.
Was-
Remember
Oh yeah,
that guy?
Kyle was
Kyle
there.
was there?
Remember how he used to come on the podcast?
Yeah.
He visited for the
1 or 2 episodes.
was it New Year's?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he'll be back. He's just working in California. He's making his fortune out there, you know.
Mm.
Like the old timey gold miners. But that was pretty good.
Out in California way.
In that episode, if you haven't listened to it, don't. We
Episode 1, you mean?
yeah, episode 1, we drew each other. We stylistically drew everybody to your right or your left or something. And I've always wanted to be able to incorporate more like goofy activities like that. And recently my hope has been a soundboard. But I just need more money. I don't know. Hopefully we'll get there. I really like the idea of like somebody on each episode gets the soundboard, but everybody else makes the sounds and doesn't tell that person what they
You
are.
figure it out as the show goes
Yeah,
along.
so like we get to a point and they're like, this would be a good time for a sound effect. It's like, you're like, whatever, you know?
It would be a complete disaster immediately.
That's what makes it funny.
Yeah,
It would suck.
that would.
Amazing.
Really
Oh,
funny.
you know what? I know what one of my noises would be.
What would it be?
I can't tell you.
It's a
Just make
secret.
the noise.
No, because
need
then
the
we'll know what it
content.
is.
Come on, Lisa, contribute to this.
No.
Leisler.
No, it's a secret.
You're dead.
Then why did you even tell us that you knew what it
Ooh,
would be?
I know what I'm going to do,
Why
and I'm not going to tell anyone.
Yeah, why cock tease us
I
like
think
this?
out loud a lot.
It's Leisler.
Oh my god.
She can't keep all the information with her stupid fingers.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa.
When I'm with you,
But when we
are apart, I feel it chill.
Are they Swedish now?
And no matter what I do, I piss out me dick.
I
Oh no.
have no words.
I didn't realize you were trying to change that.
Was that on the mic? Did I tell that story?
No, I don't think
No.
so.
I play Australia with a rugby guy. I play rugby with an Australian guy.
Yep.
And when he gets really drunk, that's what he tells us. He goes, I have to piss out my dick. You
Not just,
we
I had to take a
really
piss.
press him on it, and he has a few words. I've got to piss out my dick.
True words.
Dramatic pause.
True
Yeah.
words. I've never
Like
been
as though
spoken.
you're like, which way is he gonna go? Is it gonna be his dick or is
It's
he
a
gonna piss out
dramatic
something
pause.
else? No, that is dick. Okay, you know.
Yeah, well, out of a strong field of options,
Yeah.
I'm glad he went with Dick. I'm glad.
What did he tell me? Because he goes, these ladies, they piss at it. Something else. Don't even know.
Out of their Dick.
Yeah. So,
A lady dick.
Mm-hmm.
okay. All right. Any other fond memories? We've only had 50 episodes. I really enjoyed the Civ episode. I think that was 5.
It was 4 or 5.
Yeah, it was really it gave me a lot of hope about the direction we were going because you motherfuckers knew so much stuff.
And now we're here.
Knowing nothing.
Jon Snow.
No, we know other stuff. We read now.
Now.
As opposed
we
to
all
when you
learned
were
how to
illiterate
read, guys.
I can only hear neither of you because you're both talking at the same time.
Bill just learned to read.
Okay.
And I said we all just learned how to read, so.
That
See,
includes
Bill learned first and then taught the rest of us.
That's why we're all
If you
fucked up.
If you fuckers couldn't read, I wouldn't teach you shit.
Thanks.
Well, what? Why would I do that?
Thanks.
I'd be king.
Wait, so who taught Bill then?
I don't know. He's
The
self-taught. That's
Lord.
why it's all wrong.
The Lord
The
taught
baby
me.
Jesus.
Yep. Little baby Jesus. That's the version I got.
He is the better reader of the two.
Jesus.
The infant is...
Jesus.
He's cheesing over there.
Is
That
that-
guy's cheesing.
Cheesing real hard.
if Jesus is the
Jesus.
reason, he's the...
Cheesing is the reason.
Season for Jesus.
Tis the season For Jesus.
'Tis the season for some Jesus.
I petition that we write a Christmas carol for our next Christmas episode.
Okay, here's
Which will happen many episodes from now.
If we
During
fucking
December.
did come up with a Christmas song, we could be millionaires.
'Tis the season to
Actually,
be Jesus.
one of the guys that I knew, so to those who do not remember and who have not listened to any of the 49 episodes, I was a music major for a time in college, most notably my freshman year.
Ooh, Wendy Testerberger.
At the time, I was friends with a lot of music majors, still am. One of them, who was also a freshman and an extraordinarily talented musician and composer, made something like $12,000 or $15,000 off of an arrangement, not an original composition, but an arrangement for like high school bands of Christmas songs. Sold it to a local company, J.W. Pepper, who has a big office up in Exton. Yeah, made 5 figures arranging a Christmas medley for high school bands.
All right, so any high schools in the area, hit us up.
We
Chris,
got a
I
new
think,
one.
has. I think Chris, who's dead to us. I mean, not here today. I mean, dead.
Well, he's in high school. He has to do his homework.
Right. His August homework for
Literally the oldest guy on the podcast.
I think he.
Guys, don't say that. He's
Shut up.
very self-conscious.
God damn it! I believe he worked for JW
Yeah?
at some point and has also written arrangements for like marching band mostly. But yeah, there's a musical lineage to this podcast.
If I hold a drum and walk funny, will I be a marching band too?
You'll be a marching person with a drum.
You'll be Chris.
Mister, can I
You-
buy these shoes? And he said there's not much time. I just want these shoes for Christmas. When mommy dies and meets Jesus.
And she'll be cheesing.
Because Jesus is really shallow and he'll care about our shoes. The good Lord made us poor, but I better spend all my money on these shoes at Christmas time so my sick mother can die and look good and will be saddled with more debt equal to the value of these shoes.
I could just mute you.
All right,
but-
so that's our Christmas musical.
so
Can we talk about that fucking song, man?
so it's. Can we talk about how this is 2 guns, no ammunition, and I wish I had exactly 5 bullets right now.
All that
5?
stuck with
Yeah.
me.
One for each of us.
Murder suicide.
I think you can get away with like 3.
Just line us up.
Yeah, line us up.
All that stuck with me from that song.
But you guys will
was-
resist, and I'll have to,
You haven't
Fight
asked
you.
us. You haven't asked.
I apologize to the audience for not muting Bill's mic immediately.
Well,
I let it happen. I'm
my
sorry.
point, I was making a point in an artistic way. That's something you'd understand, Genevieve. Art.
Ah, man. I don't think you can use that excuse here.
Bullshit.
Jesus. Hey.
Jesus.
How did that song made $5 quintillion. It is the
That song?
saddest hunk of shit. They play it every Christmas. There's only 2 songs I need in Christmas. Mostly, I needed a jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock.
Jiggle bell.
Jingle
And-
bell ring, and jingle bell ring.
That's what happens when I walk around the house.
Oh, baby, so bad, I'm shoveling snow. In the frosty air.
I'm letting it happen again. I'm so sorry.
It's the bright time, 'cause it's the right
You will eat that
time
microphone, Bill.
Mute
to
him.
drink some more eggnog. That's the end of that one.
And then the other one would be
This one's really
Tis
quick.
the season. For cheesing.
You're muted, faggot.
Come
Okay,
on!
you're back.
Skinny.
And you're off. You're off. It's done.
What?
Nope.
Skinny Murray. Hee haw, the Italian Christmas.
I muted her too.
La 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 la. That's
We
not
are
what I need.
off the
All right,
rails.
so we muted all the mics for that?
That is what I needed. Well,
We're
you
not
know
even recording.
You know what? Fuck you,
We're not.
Frank. Sitting over there on your goddamn phone. Anybody have any nice memories? I remember when I didn't participate and then I did. That was my favorite part.
For your information, I may have been looking at the titles of our old episodes to remind myself if I did have any good memories.
So there.
My memories of that singing will haunt me
For
for the rest of my life.
The end of my days.
Oh. So, Frank, did you get reminded of any positives from our history?
Still singing.
Mulling it over.
Calculating.
Calculating.
I mean, I like our shift around the early 20 episodes from total dog shit to like a decent podcast.
Oh, you mean where it wasn't mandatory to be drinking the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Remember that rule?
Yeah.
Not all my ideas are great. Not even most.
I
I
remember.
got a lot of great ideas.
All right.
Trouble is, most of them suck.
So here's a good. You can kind of track the actually, you know what? No, this isn't even something you can track the progression of. So when you first mentioned to me that, and this is just goes to show you my character in general. When we first started this podcast, I had a tendency to drink a lot more almost every Friday and Saturday night than I currently do. And I would many times be pretty fucking hungover when we would be doing this. So I remember when Bill first said that, you know, the rule is you always have to have a drink in your hand. My first thought was, yeah, fuck that. Like it just goes to like when someone tells me a rule I don't like, I'm just like, yeah, fuck your couch, dude. Just like I do what I want.
And a curse upon your armchair.
Did you say fuck your couch?
Yeah.
Charlie Murphy.
Okay. I don't know, but
The rule was have a drink in your hand. You didn't have to drink it. We wanted to be ready if any like alcoholics came on. They just faced temptation, but they weren't obligated to destroy their lives.
Oh, that wasn't so that we could, welcome them in with their culture?
Oh, yeah.
So they'd be accepting of their...
Wait, are we appropriating the culture?
I'm not appropriating.
Always.
Alcoholics are gravely oppressed.
I am gerrymandering their culture.
Forcing it into weird shapes.
Yes.
I had a thought, and it's gone now.
Good.
Yeah.
It's probably shitty.
We could talk about our you know what shit is our lost episode?
The lost one is
where I came in and was wasted after a rugby party. Talked about Chris Cornell like 3 times.
And your grandfather?
That was never published, yeah.
Bitched about
I think those files are gone.
Yes.
I hope so. I really hope
Bitched
so.
about my granddad, then took a nap. And then Chris apparently got sick and threw up.
For like the rest of the night.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So-
I think I missed that one.
Yeah.
Everyone in the room, I'm pretty sure, was drunk, myself included.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you were. It was bedtime for Bill, and for
first
Chris.
of all, it was like an hour of trying to figure out how to steer Bill back into a video game conversation.
Yeah.
And then we took a break because, I don't know, I guess Chris had to go smoke or something. And then
Yeah.
Bill just fell asleep on Jake's bed. And we were like, all right, that's fine. Let's continue on with another conversation. And like half an hour into talking about Batman,
Yeah.
Chris was like, guys, we need to take a break. And just threw up for the rest of the night.
Yeah. You and Chris were grooving on Batman for a while, and it was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been, it was short enough for a misfire, but it ended so abruptly.
Right.
And I was so distracted by Bill sleeping in my bed, and I was like, I'm going to take advantage of that later. And
Your mind was just
I couldn't
wild.
focus on contributing anything. So yeah, that episode never came to the light of day. And now that we told you about it, I'll see you guys. I'll be recording my next part of the episode from jail, and it's been a good 50 episodes, guys.
That was really when I knew that we had a good group of people here, because Jake did a total bro move. Not only did he not punish it, but he deleted the files.
it's fine.
I miss the times. Well, I don't necessarily miss, but I reminisce on the times where we would do Saturday night episodes for the sole fact of getting wasted during the podcast and then going out afterwards.
We've done a couple of those.
There may have also been some late night stops at Buddy's where I just pieced the fuck out from you guys. It's like, fuck you, I got my burger, I'm going home.
Yeah, I think that was one of the first times that we all went out. And remember, we all got the fries and whatnot.
Right.
And we came back from, Frank had gone missing. What seemed like hours.
Yeah, apparently this is your style. You just leave.
Yeah, I do that.
Yeah, and then we all got back or whatever. I remember we all took a couch.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how I feel
Phil, me,
about
and Genevieve.
couches.
No.
And by the time we got back, I think Frank had already just disappeared upstairs.
I feel like Frank is sort of painting himself as this like tough, like I don't follow the rules kind of guy.
Like
You
he's a
made
wild
rule out of-
card.
Yeah, I just leave when I'm ready to leave. I don't think that's how it works.
I
He's
really
a robot.
I was gonna say I'm really more painting myself just as a douchebag. That's just like
It is time to leave, therefore I must leave.
Calculation.
Douches depleted, must
Yeah.
refill
Goal
bag.
accomplished. Must return.
Finger.
Searching for social etiquette subroutine. Files start. Not found.
Error 404.
Leave.
Leave. Simply
That's
leave.
what it is.
Normally also engage finger guns.
You have never once in my presence done finger guns. How do I
Until
know
just
that? Because
now.
I would have blasted your fingers and you for that horse shit.
Blasted his fingers. Explain.
You just did it twice, Bill. He still has fingers. Please blast them.
Blast his fingers.
I'm on the microphone.
Just blast him.
I'm working here.
Listen.
I'm a professional.
Listen, there's a
Professor.
thread
They are
in
not
the
just
studio.
fingers, they are now jazz fingers.
Okay, don't
Oh,
try to do the salad
Jesus.
fingers thing.
Yeah, that's
All
more
right,
salad
this
fingers.
is my thing.
It's also jazz hands, not fingers.
Whatever.
Sparkle fingers.
I'll jazz your fingers.
These
You
are
have many
jazz
times.
fingers.
These
You
are
know it.
jazz fingers.
I think my favorite title so far, because you do some pretty creative titles, one, it was Glip Glorp Space Babes.
That was the Civilization
Yeah.
episode. That was Civilization 5 Feet, as in featuring Glip Glorp Space Babes.
Feet?
Glip glorp.
Is the title. It's my favorite
Featuring
one.
Glip glorp space beeps.
I also liked our first misfire that Chris, Jake, and myself recorded.
Oh yeah, that was the first one where we deliberately sat down to record it,
Yes.
as opposed to an excerpt from
Was
an
that
I
the
would
shower
really
beer
love
one?
to. It was that one was about like
Maybe.
coffee pooping.
It was about
Yes.
coffee
Yeah.
shits and Tinder disasters
Yeah,
and
yeah.
some other shit.
I'd really love more of that stuff.
You want more coffee
As
shits?
Frog shrinks. Frank shrugs.
Frog shrink.
Even
Frog shanks.
What the fuck?
As Frog shrinks over there.
Hey, Frog.
Petition.
I definitely.
Oh my god! I just remembered. There was one time I was listening through one of our episodes, and there's somebody fucking plain as day in the middle of talking. Fucking rips a fart. I mean, it's not even like you hear, like, was that a fart? It's like, and nobody on the microphone reacts.
Are you sure it wasn't Frank making his own special
It could have been a
noises?
fart noise.
No,
And you guys are. How do you not attribute this to me immediately?
That's what I just did.
Because it
Clearly
was
it's
me,
you.
and it wasn't even that loud of a part. I just stuck the microphone right next to my ass.
Up
when
your
I-
ass.
It's a good thing I disinfect these foams, dude.
Otherwise,
You
someone's
you
got
fucking
Some of his
prick.
anus particles are on that mic now.
I knew that it would be quiet enough that no one else in the room would like really acknowledge it, but loud enough on the microphone that it would really flow through. And I can't believe it
flow
took.
through.
I can't believe it took this long for that to come out.
No, we've talked about this
like-
multiple
We've talked about
times.
before.
Pun intended.
It is fucking front and center on that episode, and like you don't hear anything that implies that it's not that loud in the room, except we all just play it cool.
What
And I was like, was that me? Did I
Collectively,
fart?
we all farted, and no one wanted to address it.
Everybody farted at the exact same time.
It-
so we
Same
never
pitch,
noticed
same
anybody
length,
else.
everything.
It had the exact intention that I wanted it to.
Because I was the one talking, so I figured I just kept on rolling.
No, you know what the funny part is we've definitely addressed this 2 or 3 times, and every single time we have the same conversation.
I think this is the second time.
It could be the second, but it's that funny.
Well, we are recounting memories.
Yeah.
Regaling ourselves.
Oh,
with
there's more
stories
stuff. We
past.
have 50 of these fucking things.
49.
Chris's Fever Dream episode.
I thought you said Beaver Dream, and I was like, I missed that one.
No,
They were beavers in the beavers.
There were no beavers.
that was like the one where we thought maybe we were all fucking
Retarded.
and
And
nobody
no
was
one-
telling us. That was like one of the most surreal episodes.
But really, how would you know?
I could not believe that was happening in front of my eyes.
Yeah, what if it's all Truman Show and we're the
Because I'm
Truman?
like, I'm like, how do we get Chris? Like, because every once in a while he hears something that he gets really excited about, and he really talks on it a lot. And I was like, all right, he's finally got a topic. Like, here we go. And that was it. Are we all retarded?
Not are we? Or do you ever think that you yourself are retarded?
It's like solipsism, which is the idea that you're the only one who can prove to yourself that you're real,
Yeah.
and everyone else might as well just be a hallucination or simulation, which is it's apparently like a part of early childhood development. Like everyone at some point when they're young has a period of time where that's what they think, and then they The more they observe reactions to things that they do and have reactions to things other people do, that it kind of goes.
Like,
away
oh,
on
they
its
must
own.
be a person too.
Yeah, but it's the same idea, except instead of whether other people are real,
Whether or not they
Whether-
straight tarded.
whether you are retarded and no one's telling you. That was
He's going through that phase of growing up right now.
Oh,
It's very
just a
difficult.
phase.
High school, figuring out if you're retarded.
Everyone goes through it.
See, high school is when I learned that I am retarded.
Mm-hmm.
Especially
Goes
the
both
more I
ways.
look back on it. Oh my god.
Look at me. I see that I never really was all that smart.
What?
Bill, you need to stop singing.
I
That
don't
was
even.
more of a
Was that singing?
I thought it was
grunting-
Nickelback.
That was not Nickelback. That
Look
was
at this photograph.
every time I
I
do it.
really gotta take a crap.
If they sung about that stuff, I might listen.
About possibly being retarded or
What's
just
wrong
crap?
with Nickelback? They're okay.
What about Dime Front?
They at least
I don't-
what?
What? What's that?
Dime Front.
Hold on, Nickelback at least seems
Nickelback,
about.
Dime Front.
Hey, we caught up.
Oh,
Maybe Bill is retarded.
well, I mean, there was that guy, Dimebag, whatever. right?
Dimebag Darrell,
When he died
Pantera. Gunshot wound.
from himself.
He was shot on stage.
By
Oh
himself.
my god!
5 times in the back.
By himself.
By whom? A crazy fan?
Yeah.
Himself.
That's how you get a nickel to
No.
the back.
That was okay. You got
Our
it.
buddy Charlie was doing tour stuff for bands and was at that venue where it happened, and the hole's still there on the wall. I forget. I don't.
Oh, is that where you put the key?
Yeah,
No, that's where you put your cat hair.
Wait, so he just murdered him for
With
something?
cat
It
hair?
wasn't gang related or whatever.
I don't think so.
Wait, gang related.
Are you saying that because his name is Daryl?
No.
I have a question.
As a gang related?
What's your question?
If I start a gang, does everything I do become gang related?
Every activity you have is gang activity.
No,
Yeah,
She's
only
brushing her teeth.
the
That's
only
gang
way
activity in this
yeah.
bathroom.
definitely a gang related dump.
The only way that you can have gang related activity is if you actually have gangrene.
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 All right,
Yes.
you're fired. You're all fired.
Do
This
you
is
remember the
ridiculous.
Gangrene Gang from Powerpuff Girls?
No.
Yeah.
Vaguely.
Ugh,
Mojo Jojo.
you missed.
Do you remember the episode where
that's
Mojo
how-
Jojo has like a girlfriend and then he finds out it's this non-sentient chimp from the zoo? Well, I guess semi-sentient, but it's like just a normal chimpanzee from the zoo and he's
That's
having this
brilliant.
like big crush on it
Aww.
because he grew up in a zoo and he had a little caretaker and he was once a cute little monkey and then
Green monkey.
now
That's
he's
what happened to Klaus.
Mojo Jojo.
Remember,
used to be a
remember our
cute
boy
little
Klaus
monkey.
used to come
Okay,
on?
that's actually my
That's,
fondest
that's
memory.
what you think happened to Klaus.
Fond memories of the show when Klaus would visit.
Yeah, he went on a date and it turned out to be a chimp, and they hauled him away.
Maybe Klaus should come visit for our 50th anniversary.
I don't think he's. I tried to talk to him today. They wouldn't patch me through, so I
No?
don't think he's coming in.
Klaus is dead.
He might have something to say whenever we
take him to
finally
a
get
camp?
around to that Mud Runner game.
Maybe, except he's dead.
He's got
No,
a.
he's just at camp.
He's got a.
Dead camp.
No, he's got a twin whose name is Klaus.
Spelled with a K.
Klaus and
Instead of
Klaus.
a
No, it's
Yeah.
spelled. It's K-Laus, and then
Kalis?
no Klaus, and then the other one
Is he the Jesus of the Klingon race?
and then the other one is CHA. No wait.
Chalaus.
That Kalaus and the
L-
Chalaus.
OW.
The very
S.
classic German
That
name.
is not a valid.
The A
Chalaus.
is silent.
You're wrong.
But the A is-
You're,
Callus? Did you just spell
Callus.
Callus?
you're wrong.
SZ.
You're making this way harder on yourself than it needs to be.
Klaus.
It was a Nickelodeon show called Pete and Pete.
Pete and Repeat sat on a bench. Pete fell off. Who's left?
Repeat.
No,
Pete,
don't.
Pete beat their
We have
meat.
enough of this.
All right.
Die in a fire. Can we take a break? I'm taking a break. We'll be right back.
have to keep going, Mr. Frodo. Don't you remember reading all the stories about the heroes when you were a little hobbit?
Think of the Lomnus bread. Lemnus? Lomnus?
What do you...
Llama
What?
You blew it.
You blew it. You ruined it all.
All right.
You blew it.
As usual.
It's going to go on this whole thing about how Samwise is the real hero of that series.
Oh, he is.
But someone had to blow it.
You
Yeah.
know how I do.
Welcome back.
Hot
So we're gonna talk some video games. Yeah. Jacoby shared with us a pretty cool teaser trailer.
Do you like that nickname? Because it looks like you hated that.
Power through it.
Devil May Cry number 5.
Cinco, the devil may cry.
So what did you think? What did you think, Jake?
It was fun. Looks new.
It was definitely fun. The sound work of the trailer itself was a little weird.
Yeah, there were interesting. I mean, whatever. It was like the initial announcement E3 trailer because our E3 coverage was dog shit.
Last year I put a ton of work into it, so I feel like that covered us for 2 years.
We're good. We're good for the next one.
I'll take it. Well, kind of. I mean, for those who have not heard the earlier podcast, I'm a big fan of the Devil May Cry series. I'm a big fan of the reboot that came out in 2012 or 13. It was still published by Capcom, but was under a different dev team, Ninja Theory. I like the game. You know,
damn it.
It's basically the second redheaded stepchild of the series over DMC2, but you know, DMC Devil May Cry, the spinoff, it's a fine game in and of itself, and it may be true that it needs to be judged in the context of its heritage and predecessors and whatnot. On its own, it stands just fine. And I watched some videos kind of recently about it and about how deep the controversy around that spinoff went. So I'd like to kind of get into that a little bit.
Okay.
I'm not exactly an expert. Do you have a question?
Well, I was going to say for people who haven't heard those podcasts, who aren't really familiar, just like description of the series or the genre in general, like what the...
Devil May Cry is a character action game, fast-paced, swords and guns. You're a dude who's part demon who kills full demons who are trying to take over Earth.
And it's sort of like
It's pronounced Earth.
the game I think of when I think of character action games.
It's very much its own beast. It started life. It was supposed to be a Resident Evil sequel, but some of the ideas that it's it's put out by Capcom, who also did.
More like crap. Am I right?
The Resident Evil theme didn't really fit, so they made it its own title, changed up the aesthetics, and made a brand new franchise out of it. And it had very much a puzzle solving exploration element to it, in addition to being a style based beat 'em up.
So it's like an escape room.
No. Sometimes I guess
weren't supposed to be beat
there
up?
were escape rooms in it, in the various games. Fine, whatever.
So what was the controversy you were
Well,
talking about?
DMC Devil May Cry.
Do you put the pipe in the hole in the wall or no?
There are no pipes and no holes, except the ones you cleave into demons with swords.
It's just like an escape room, except for every single feasible detail.
This is really fascinating.
I'm really hoping that you get a chance to
Yeah, it's
tell
so
us about
good.
the controversy.
It's really good. So Capcom themselves went to Ninja Theory, or it might have been multiple, and Ninja Theory won out. They wanted to create a spin-off of this IP while they were kind of putting a true sequel on the back burner. And Ninja Theory initially tried to make the game very much more in the spirit of the original series, like same aesthetics around Dante. All they were really going to do was, apply their technology to it and, put more subtle spins than what they wound up doing. But Capcom actually shot all those ideas down and wanted them to make a more different iteration of the main characters, the story, the world that was in. They didn't want it to be too closely related. So that put Ninja Theory, the dev team, in this rock and a hard place situation where the fans were never going to be happy with it. and neither were the people paying them. You know, so like, who do you? If you don't piss off the fans, you can't make the game.
Right.
You know, and
piss off the fans
that's
if you do.
that's the situation they were in. And I maintain still, and I appear to be in the minority based on the chatter around the game and the franchise as a whole, that I still maintain that DMC Devil May Cry is a very good game if it does not fully fit in the original series, especially given that context that they kind of didn't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Dante in the spinoff is a shitty character. The dialogue is not good, but when has it ever been? For those of you who have played the games, it's always been shitty. Not least because there was a language barrier translating it from Japanese, but I'm pretty sure it was bad even over there. It's over the top on purpose.
Yeah.
That's part of the overall kind of motif going on. I mean, if anything, at least the bad dialogue was acted better. You know what I mean? At least I had that going for it. So you know, he's not a likable version of Dante whatsoever, but the game's still really fun. It's really fast. Ninja Theory, I can't remember their earlier titles before doing the Devil May Cry game. You know, it looks a lot like them. I saw some footage. I just can't recall the names off the top of my head of their previous games. And if you're new to the franchise, it really can't do you any harm. I think wherever it lacks in terms of holding up the estate of Devil May Cry, right? What it's best loved for, it's makes up for it wholly, in my opinion, just by being a quality game in and of itself. That said, it's been a real long time since a true sequel to Devil May Cry 4. I believe it's been 10 years.
Whoa.
Or almost. So 2008 or 9 or something like that. DMC4 came out. And here we have a trailer for DMC5. And it looks real good.
It did. It's really nice to see the DMC IP, the Devil May Cry intellectual property, all dressed up in modern capabilities. I mean, I couldn't speak to any of the mechanics because I haven't played the old games and I wasn't playing that cutscene, but holy shit, did it look good. And even in the humor, I mean, I'm an outsider looking in. I watch you play this game. The humor seems to be a little bit of that over the top. I mean, it's a little bit goofy, and I really dug it.
It's you know, it looks like it's going to be every bit the over the top high flying action that we're used to. There's even a part in the trailer where Nero's back, the protagonist of Devil May Cry 4. Dante's still involved in 4, but he's, you know, 4 was like an incomplete game. It was kind of a shame because it had a lot of promise. But you played like the first half of the game was as Nero through all the levels, and then you played the second half of the game as Dante backwards through the same levels.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, cool.
Neat, guys.
Thanks.
I didn't want more content.
Yeah, but and Nero was kind of a whiny bitch, honestly. But they seem to have altered his personality. I know they have the same voice actor back. Aesthetically, excuse me. Aesthetically, they switched from like really Devil May Cry 3 and 4 in particular had very much an anime kind of look to their, you know, to everyone's like faces and whatnot. This one, they definitely kind of balanced it with something a little more photorealistic. But it's still, I feel like they split the difference pretty well. And it also looks like there's little to no dip in graphical quality, as there shouldn't be at this stage, between the cutscenes and the combat. Because we were definitely watching snippets of gameplay, and there were parts where it got right up in his face, and it looked exactly the same.
There was we commented on last week's episode. We were watching some of the videos for Attack on Titan 2 on Steam sale, and I was blown away because I'd seen it there. I'd seen like Tokyo Studio Sessions, which is it's a game that two best friends are playing through. It's another. It's almost like Persona, but both of those recently and even Persona. They're taking these anime 2D characters and they're rendering them in a stylized 3D way, but they're sort of softening some of the more extreme anime physical characteristics. so that you're not like, what the fuck is that thing I'm looking at? You know, like they still have big eyes, but they're not like 90% of the person's head. They're like 60% of the person's head. And so they're leaning. They start marching sort of towards this photorealistic appeal, but in doing so, the subtle differences that they make to maintain artistic styling and consistency, I find to be so much more significant. So you were talking about how it's more photorealistic, but still with some style. I was so struck by it because you're like, these don't look exactly like people. They look a lot like them, but a little different and in a really exciting way.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't describe why that's more exciting, that they're so close, but it underlines the artistic style.
Yeah, well, I think if you look back at those other things those other games you mentioned, those I haven't seen Persona or Tokyo. What you call it?
Tokyo, Persona music sessions, I think. So I don't know.
Definitely,
Good
right?
lord.
Yeah, perfect. Space Babes. But those, like, I do remember the Attack on Titan game videos, and that still looked like an anime rendered in 3D.
Yeah.
Right? But it looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't look like an anime whatsoever, as far as I'm concerned. Like,
I agree.
It looks. I mean, yeah, it's definitely like CG people. They're not going for like Uncanny Valley.
Perfect people.
Grand Moff Tarkin, like they're they're not doing that. But it looks really realistic. There's lots of detail, which lends itself to the feeling of realism without falling into the Uncanny Valley. And at the end, there's a stinger, I guess is the term, where they don't show Dante through the whole trailer till the very end, and he's riding on some demon powered bike. And it gets in real close, and he has like gray stubble. He looks like a little haggard, but he still has that like smirk behind his lips. And then after it cuts to black, you hear him go woo, or, in like a style very much reminiscent of how he would say stuff like that in the previous games.
Yeah, that didn't sound like a soundbite from like this decade. Yeah, or whatever the fuck he said.
Well, he kills demons and he loves it.
Okay,
That's part of his charm. Like, he's real good. He's real cocky, but it's because he's real good, and he just has a blast.
he should have said yeet. That's what the kids are saying.
He's not a kid.
I'm gonna yeet these demons. That's my
Right up there with
Dante.
Jeezin.
Yeet. Jeezin.
He's
Become religious.
Dante's
and
the
hip.
opposite of Jeezin, although he does fight demons.
Yo,
Ultimate Jeezin move.
Tis
But
the
he is-
season for Jeezin fighting demons.
But he is a demon, so he can't really
Tis
be
the
Jeezin.
season to be Jeezin.
I thought we were past this.
I
I
did
really
that.
I really
did.
thought we matured a little bit in the last
No.
hour.
No.
Frank, fuck yourself, buddy. You
Unless
make fart
he's
jokes
managed-
over here. Come on.
Unless he's managed to
I haven't
improve
made
in the
any-
last hour.
Did
I
you
haven't
update
made any fart jokes yet.
this podcast?
Fair
Yeah,
enough,
today.
fair enough. I retract my swear word
don't.
review.
I
Anyway.
mean, that's 50% of my joke repertoire. is
Somehow we're
fart
back at farts. We were doing just fine.
I did it this time.
You did.
I definitely
You done effed up.
Never trust a
one
fart.
thing I really, really enjoyed about the capabilities that were demonstrated in this video, like the demons, while they're fantastical in design, and this probably applies more to my assertion about like semi-realistic with hard style. They looked fucking like if a demon was stomping down the street, I'm like, that's what that would look like. There was one huge magma monster with a magma hole in its chest that balled up a car and then
Did it have
shot
a
it out as an energy wave.
Magma
And I was
dong?
like, that was fucking scary, and it looked awesome. And
I
it was
think-
so crisp and detailed.
I personally think the best demons are in Doom. As far as just like mechanical, like how they work and their art style, I don't know. I think they're very well done, and I also appreciate the fact that you can beat them with their own limbs.
What is your point here, Frank?
Here's the thing.
Were we
You're-
talking about best demons?
Best,
Yeah.
best. We weren't, but okay.
I am.
I thought we were just talking about this game.
We were.
Okay. You're right. All of it.
Also,
You can beat demons with their limbs. Devil May Cry 4 and now 5, as we saw, you can beat demons with other demons.
That's pretty cool.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Although I did see in this one those they have those flying demons that end up just looking like a big massive shit with bat wings. They're in like every game where you need like a spooky gargoyle / flying goblin.
Bill, this is a safe space. We gotta be body positive.
I didn't like whatever the fuck that thing was.
Not a safe space. Space is dangerous.
Are you telling me that this is a zone of danger?
As in
We walked right into it.
Lana.
Gonna take me right into the danger zone.
Our buddy had that played at his wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was what
Was
they
it
walked
great?
out to.
Did everybody
afterwards.
That's what they walked out to.
Did everyone stand and clap, and then the minister gave everybody crisp $100 bills?
With the cheese and crackers.
Nailed it.
$100.
Nailed it.
I got it. Okay. So, do you think there's going to be any controversy over this new release? Have you seen any?
I mean, people are always salty about something. I have not really kept my ear to the ground in the wake of this trailer. They made Nero's hair shorter. Someone will bitch about it, but they brought a bunch of his powers back.
What? Did he also not have an arm?
There's also lots of like really like niche lore details that kind of are interesting. The fact that Dante was riding a motorcycle, for one thing, suggests that this is the actual sequel to, like, in the chronology of the series. This is directly after Devil May Cry 2.
Oh.
Which until now was the latest of the games, and at the end of that game, Dante rides a motorcycle into hell. So somehow he probably escaped. Seems to be the word on the street, which is kind of cool. Even though Devil May Cry 2 sucked, it might as well stay in the canon. Why not? And then what else? Nero still has his sword that he can rev like a motorcycle, which was a cool mechanic in DMC4. Yeah, it buffs your damage.
Okay.
And in 4, I think you could rev it up to like 3 levels of charge, and then that would like add a shitload of like fire and like greater range to your sword swings. So it was a cool mechanic in and of itself. And Nero in 4 and apparently in 5 also has his one arm is like a demon arm. It's like not really his. It gets replaced apparently, looking at the trailer, by some kind of like fancy schmancy robot version of it. Because
I like that. I like robot arms.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I like about Luke
Yourself?
Skywalker.
What? Good job. Robot arms?
No, we
What?
all know what my favorite part of myself is.
Your robot farts.
I don't consider that a part of myself. I consider that an
Wait.
extension
Because it
of
makes up
myself.
50% of your personality.
So what was the deal with Nero's sexy sidekick there? Who was that?
She
This woman
is
that looks like she was modeled for like Mafia 3, and they gave her like a crazy Southern accent or something.
Yeah, she's like a brunette
confusing.
Southern belle. She is a new character to the games, but not new to the franchise, because there was a manga series. It was a short, I think, 12-episode anime, which I saw a little bit of. I believe she is from the manga.
What are you trying? Are you trying to say Manky?
Yes.
Monkey.
She evolves into primate.
Oh, Manky.
That's primate? Oh my god.
She hasn't evolved yet.
That's gonna go. Someone's gonna think that's racist after they watch.
They'll find a way. They usually do.
Why?
Because she was tan.
She was okay, sure, whatever.
Listen, she was appropriating cyborg culture by making robot arms.
That's
for
true.
I just like so
For
there's a
regular
quick cut
people
to her,
persons.
and she's wearing like a little cut off shirt, and she's like 6'3", like all the sexy models in that one Batman game, and her shirt's a cut off because I think devs realize they can render lady abs, and they're like, this looks good, and they show a quick cut to her. And she's holding a tube of what I can only assume is the virus from Resident Evil, and she goes, "Cast first."
Oh, that was Nero's replacement arm.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought it was. Well, I just said
It
what I
looked
thought
like
it
a
was.
thermos of like soup.
If you look at his arm when it's
Not
a
a
robot later
fisting
on,
dildo.
it's clearly the same.
Oh, I thought it was.
She
It's a
goes,
short trailer. We watched it once.
"Cash first," and I said, "I wonder why they're
Hash?
showing
I
that."
thought she said kiss first. Is it cash?
Could be both.
Cash.
Okay. I don't know. It's hard to understand her goofy
Not all women are
accent.
sex bots.
Extorting him
Genevieve.
for sexual favors.
So does that play into her character? Does that mean anything to regular viewers? It just
She's the
doesn't-
mechanic, I think. I didn't read. think an old girlfriend got me 2 of the mangas. Way
How old
back.
was she? 85.
No.
Okay, so she got you too.
I was just gonna let that hang there because it didn't make any sense.
You said an old girlfriend.
All right, listen. She was 79, and
At the time.
At the time. So now she's like 104.
How old were you?
Because I am in my 40s.
No.
I like the idea that you were dating at 2.
That's
Yep.
what I like that idea better. You were dating a 79-year-old at the
exactly-
age of like
Listen,
2.
listen.
Wait, did you think your grandmother
Listen.
was your girlfriend?
Listen.
That's so cute.
Granny always asks for
Listen.
smooches.
And she gave you manga.
Listen.
Manga.
It's not all she gave me.
Minky.
Manky.
Cookies? I fucking hope to Christ it's just cookies.
Occasional sweater.
She'd rub booze on your gums.
I want to die. I want to die.
All right.
Where's that ammunition?
None. No.
But this character was not in those comics that I read.
Mm.
So I know nothing about her other than what I've heard. So she's probably just going to be the kind of comic relief /
Your grandma?
Shut the fuck up.
No, that was his girlfriend, remember?
Wait, did you say the slut comic release?
Slut comic relief.
Okay.
Did you see what she was wearing?
Yes, I did.
I saw that her teeth looked like chiclets. Is that the word for them?
Well, chiclets are small. Her teeth were huge.
In France, they're chiclets.
But I thought they were like, this is the problem that a lot of modern games have. They're like, we really need to show that these teeth are separate, and they add way too much detail between
I didn't
people's
think
teeth.
so. I thought
they
were
look
fun.
like big fucking white fingers. Like if you took the end of your
Well,
finger.
chiclets are like green and yellow and shit.
yeah, but paint them
gotta
all white.
The white one.
And also make them bigger.
Wait, teeth aren't
completely
supposed to
different.
be those colors?
So they're not like those.
Make
they're
them
not like
teeth.
those candy coated pieces of gum
No.
that
No.
like Trident, whatever.
No, the chiclets.
No, it would be tried.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
still
like those
chiclets.
Trident things.
Yeah, Trident Square.
Not like
Jones.
Gary Busey's
No, she had
porcelain-
Gary Busey teeth.
porcelain toilet teeth.
She kind of did look like she was wearing Gary Busey teeth.
She's got
On top of her already ginormous
You ever,
teeth.
you ever been in one of those? You ladies might not know about this. You ever been in one of those bathrooms where the urinals go like from normal urinal height all the way to the floor?
Oh, yeah.
And they throw ice in it. That's what Gary Busey's teeth are.
Wait, they put
What?
ice in the
They're
urinals?
Urinals?
The low urinals.
Multiple
Those
urinals?
giant white.
Are you saying
urinals
they're
are
all
like-
different heights?
They're like 5 feet tall. No, they're all like 5 feet tall. They're just incredibly long.
I feel like
Wait,
okay.
back up. Why would you put ice
splash.
in the urinal?
So that you don't have to flush it, you
Is
pee
it,
and the.
do you like
it
try to
melts
melt
the
one
ice.
of them? Is that the game?
No, it inevitably melts because the ice sits in the bottom of the tub, and then you pee into the tub, and the water from the ice makes it so you don't have to flush.
So you let us step on it?
Devil May Cry
Welcome
5 out
to
spring
Two Guns
2019.
Where we talk
Do you
about
think-
urinals.
Do you think it's gonna be done by then?
Yeah.
Does this game typically have a lot of like delay? It just got announced. It's fucking only 9 months away. That's not much of a hype season.
Fallout 4 was announced 6 months before its release, 7 or 8.
I feel like I used to know about things years before.
Skyrim was announced in the same time frame, but that's Bethesda being secretive. But odds are, I know that the director of the Devil May Cry series, whatever his name is, the reason it took so long. No, that's Metal Gear Solid.
They're the same thing, right?
Die in a Fire. There was a 10-year gap from DMC4 to 5 with that reboot in the middle. So he wanted to do other stuff in the meanwhile. That was his stated reason for stepping away.
I was just about to ask, why the fuck would you take 10 years off between such a cool game?
Yeah, I think he just wanted to work on something different. I think he'd been working on it since the original, and he needed a break or whatever. But yeah, so they're coming back, and they've I don't recall them being late before.
That almost directly parallels our next topic. Wait, can you do
No.
the tune?
No.
Next Generation Star Trek.
Yep.
Is what that is supposed to be.
Captain Jean-Luc Picard came out and mentioned that Patrick Stewart's back as Captain Jean-Luc Picard.
Well, as
Sir
Jean-Luc
Patrick
Picard.
Jean-Luc Picard. To
I know
you,
what I said.
pal.
Captain Sir Jean-Luc Picard, the Third Esquire,
He's a lawyer?
MD.
MD.
He's a space lawyer.
A lawyer?
I'll buy it.
He could be a
I'd
lawyer.
watch
For all
that
we-
show.
He could be a lawyer for all we know,
Space lawyer.
because he explicitly said he was probably not returning as a captain as such.
So maybe he
He'll be
will
an admiral.
space lawyer.
It'll
Not
be like
necessarily.
Luke Skywalker. He'll
Okay,
be
so
on-
let's
Wait,
just
can it be
hold
the-
on. God
I want
damn
it to be the prequel, and he plays younger version of himself.
He's 78 years old. Next Gen started 31 years ago,
I guess that would be the humor in it.
and Nemesis was 20 years ago.
So we watched a video of an announcement he made at a con in Vegas, and he told a pretty good 11-minute story, and that was the big reveal, was that he was in a meeting for 20 minutes and 4 other people convinced him that it's time for Jean-Luc to come back. So the amount of time that has actually passed in real life is about the amount of time that will have passed in the series. And now I had been doing some reading after the series Star Trek The Next Generation, which was the second one. It was the original Next Generation, and then Deep Space Nine and Voyager
Deep Space Mine?
was somewhere in there.
Deep Space Minecraft, yeah.
No, I like Deep Space Mine. Like it's like a
Deep-
Valentine's Day. Like
Deep Space Mine Comp.
Deep
I mean, there are
Space
mines in that
Mine.
show. You're probably just referring to something that would kill hundreds of people. No big deal.
So those mines are triggered. So
Okay.
I just want to die.
Die.
he mentioned those times.
When he wanted to die.
If you recall, recently the movies that come out, Star Trek The Next Generation, are all about Captain Kirk. And why did I say Star Trek The Next Generation? It's all Captain Kirk era, the original series era.
The new movies, you mean?
Yeah, the newest movies.
Yes. So like Chris
but,
Pine is
It's
Captain
a reboot
Kirk.
of the Kirk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
days,
I don't give a shit. You know what happens.
Chris
you know
Pine dies in the 2009 movie. Who cares?
You know the Federation perseveres because we have all this other stuff. Somebody was pointing out when they were discussing the announcement on Reddit, I was reading it, they're like, you're stuck between this thing, like you either do a really boring story because it's back in oldie times, or you do an exciting one, and you're like, how did nobody mention this in the future? You know what I mean? Like, we battled this time traveler who had a mining ship and blew up a bunch of planets. Captain Kirk saved the day. And Jean-Luc was never like, hey, you remember when Captain Kirk stopped that fucking miner guy terrorist?
Well, they kind of hedge against that in the first of those reboot movies, because you may recall Spock makes a return. The Leonard Nimoy Spock meets young Spock, played by whatever his name is. Not to
Zachary
diss him, I
Quinto.
thought he did
Yeah,
fine.
Pinto Bean.
Not to what?
Zachary Pinto Bean.
Sure. So in that, I'm pretty sure, like near the end of the movie, after all the shit's transpired or most of it, Leonard Nimoy basically lays it out that it's an alternate universe, and they kind of they do the only viable duck out of that problem that exists.
Oh.
Conveniently in a universe wherein we know alternate universes exist in abundance.
I thought you were going to remind me that Captain Kirk looked at a future, at a photograph.
Look at this photograph.
Of old Spock from the future. And
I really wish that made me laugh.
and that Spock faded away out of the picture like he was never there. I thought that's what you were going to tell me.
No.
That is the right movie.
But so after The Next Generation,
Isn't that just
which
Back
had
to the
7
Future?
seasons, 145,000 episodes, they had 4 movies. I think I watched all of them, and they were all like, okay.
I think Nemesis and First Contact were pretty good.
Yeah,
They all just break the characters.
That's true.
They all just break
the whole
them.
world seems to think Nemesis was a real bummer on how to end the series.
It just didn't. So much of that movie just didn't make
As a
sense.
standalone movie, it's a pretty good movie.
It just
Yeah, but
didn't make
it's
For the
sense.
series, it's not.
But it's
Yeah,
not a
it doesn't
standalone
fit-
movie.
I know it doesn't fit in well with the
It
rest.
doesn't make sense.
So now
It does not make sense.
now it's 21 years after that, and Jean-Luc's back, and basically he just
Back
said
again.
he said
Yes, who's
They're gonna
that?
visit him in Grandpa daycare. He's gonna be like, I like
I want to
these
be like
blocks.
Mermaid Man
I
and
like the
Barnacle Boy.
words I can spell with these blocks.
so he might not be a captain anymore. That's what they said.
Yeah, he'll
So
be
I think
retired.
he'll just be an admiral or something.
I think he'll be retired.
Yeah.
Fucking off on his wine farm because he's all French and shit, and that's what they
Wine
do.
farm.
Well, I don't know if
with his
has
British
everyone
accent.
here seen the end of The Next Generation? The TV show?
No.
Actually, no, I haven't, so let's not spoil it.
Okay.
I'm in the process of watching it.
Yeah, well, fine. Damn it. If you've seen it, you probably know what I was going to say and what they imply the rest of his life looks like.
Yeah, I just remember there was one episode where he had a mud fight with his brother at the vineyard.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty
Wine
good
farm.
episode.
Yeah. His older brother is a stick in the mud.
Also known as the
almost
vineyard.
literally.
I'm just really excited that they're finally getting into an era where like everything is new. You know what I mean? Nobody has done anything beyond it. They can do whatever like technology changes they want over the course of 20 years. The dynamics of politics can be 20 years advanced.
Because I guess every other series, with the except, DS9 takes place after most of the events of Next Gen, but it's like concurrent with it. It's not a big jump into the future,
right?
So I guess I'd say you're right. Everything else takes place before Next Gen.
I don't know what's this most recent one, Discovery.
Oh yeah, I don't know anything about it actually. Isn't that one like pre? That's like early. No, I'm thinking the previous.
Enterprise.
Enterprise is the one that was like right when the
good old Scotty back.
Yeah.
Episode 2. This Vulcan feels emotions. Okay, and she likes to fuck.
Cool.
Yeah,
Whoa.
that was it. She was kind of hot
Babes
for
3.
Vulcan. So.
Space Babes 2.
You know,
The
I don't know.
babiting.
The babening.
I gotta tell you, I've been really.
The re-babening.
I know Star Trek and Star Wars are almost totally different, except being in stars.
Mm-hmm.
But the new Star Wars movies I have found to be so disappointingly underwhelming. I'm hoping that, and the thing that the captain said at the end of his little speech was that it's going to be very different from anything you've seen before, which made me nervous. Because he also said they don't have any scripts or anything. But then he said,
It's improv, the entire show.
that would be pretty dope.
They're gonna bring on Dave Chappelle.
It's
Wait,
whose
Reno
line but in
911
space.
style?
Yeah.
But then he's like,
Jim Dangle's gonna show up in the Enterprise.
with
We
like
are.
a single visor for his glasses. He's gonna look like Geordie LaForge. But he said it's still gonna be made with the same love as the last time and respect for the fans and shit like that. I'm like, oh, fuck, finally, like it doesn't seem like a big cash grab. They're not just going back to an era in the intellectual property that they know will make money. Just like the most recent Star Wars. Why does everything look just like the old Star Wars?
Because that worked before.
Yeah, so we can sell the old Star Wars shit. I'm pretty excited. I love Star Trek, and the thing that frustrated me about the movies was there was no emotional, ethical
like turmoil
conundrum. And I mean, I'm a little familiar with the original series, and I found that each episode had an ethical question. I watched TNG quite a bit, but I don't know much about Voyager. Certainly don't know Enterprise. Watched a little Deep Space Nine, which I've heard a lot of people say is actually their favorite series.
Frank and I both.
Yeah. But there were always ethical questions. Of the new movies I watched, it's like, this guy bad, we good, very scare, but brave. I'm like,
must defeat the absolute evil thing.
yeah.
They're copying the best aspects of Star Wars poorly
So there's
with
just
a large budget.
yeah. There's no question in there. Like the Prime Directive.
It's way more action than actually like an ethical question, like you're saying.
If you're curious about like if you don't know what the Prime Directive is, it's like you don't interfere with developing life.
It's a non-interference policy
Yeah.
for other.
Yeah. So if they end up to a point
just
where they
exploring.
contact you, you can then interact with them. But like you can't just show up on a planet and be like, "Here's a bunch of technology, deal with it,"
Yeah.
because then they'll like blow themselves up. Or
There,
whatever.
I mean, there are many episodes of TNG in particular that get into that. I'm sure the original series too, but it's like by TNG, The Next Generation with Patrick Stewart, the Federation seems much more regimented, much more bureaucratic about these sorts of things, and yeah, it definitely gets Picard into a lot of trouble. But I remember one planet in particular where it seems to be their protocol is non-interference, right? And if they have to interfere, they're gonna like obfuscate what they're really about. They're gonna don costumes. They're gonna do their best to try to fit in to the culture they're interacting with. and not even let them know necessarily that they're not of their world. But they do have a policy where once a civilization achieves warp speed, right, like escapes their planet and hits warp, which is how Earth got in, made contact with the
Iliums. Federation.
Romulans.
Yes, the Romulans.
The space
Vulcans.
lawyers.
Thanks for nothing.
I mentioned another good race.
You got me on the right track because they're
The
related.
Jedi is what you
The
meant.
Jedi. So when Earth
Is that like a Yoda?
encountered the Force, and then the Jedi came down and invited them into the Federation of Planets. That's exactly how that happened. But yeah, so there was this planet that had achieved warp speed. They were negotiating with the Federation for membership, and once you're a member of the Federation, all bets are off. You get all the benefits and whatever drawbacks may exist. But the show doesn't really get into too many of the drawbacks. They seem to mostly just be
Lack of self-governance.
people related. Corrupt individuals who try to exploit the system seem to be the main drawback. Otherwise, it's a perfect socialist utopia. But
I think there's a lot of non-aggression, which can go counter to the individual member states. You know what I mean? They're like, we want to fuck up these ancient enemies of ours, and the Federation's like, no.
Yeah, not unless they're already fucking you up. And even then, we're gonna make sure.
And the
Everything's
Federation
regulated.
doesn't actually have any battleships. They're all exploratory ships.
That's not true.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it was always really weird, and I think they even dig at it a few times on the Next Generation, where the Enterprise has 1,000 people on it, way more than they need to man the ship, because there's exploration teams, there's families, there's schools. It's meant for exploration. You're right. It's also one of the most heavily armed ships in the fleet. It's the flagship.
Yeah.
So it's kind of both. And it has a sister ship. I think it was called the Yamato. It's in a few episodes. I think it's destroyed at one point. That looks identical to it. It's just called something different, and it's not the flagship. Otherwise, same exact shtick. But
Shittier crew, if I recall.
I don't know
It's
if
like
they
the knockoff.
I don't know if they ever
of
interact with them.
Crew.
I think they only encounter them like when they're like adrift or something like
Okay.
that, or like they reference them in some other discussion. But I mean, they have. I'm pretty sure they do have like dedicated. I don't know what they call them, but I'll say battleships. Fuck it, as well as dedicated science craft that are very lightly armed, and dedicated shuttlecraft that are also lightly
I
armed.
didn't know they had any battlecraft.
Oh yeah,
I never.
they get into it a little bit more in Deep Space Nine. Not a ton more in terms of lore. They give the station commander a prototype that has a cloaking device on it.
Ooh, which is against.
Yeah, they get it from the Romulans, and there's a Romulan person on staff to like assist with it at first.
Yeah.
That's DS9. And that is a dedicated like fighting vehicle. And it gets sent to the station because of the events that transpire. There is, spoiler alert, significantly more combat in DS9.
Yeah.
I won't provide any context. I do encourage you to watch the show. It's arguably like so many shows, the first season or two kind of drag, but once the actors figure out how to play their characters, they all shine, even the annoying ones.
Get more annoying.
No, they get good. Like Dr. Bashir is routinely hated on, but by the end of that show, I loved him just as much as everyone else.
That series is the one that has one of the best TV shows I've ever seen in it, like single episodes. The one where they capture the former concentration camp running general. The acting and it's mostly one guy putting on a fucking clinic on how to act. And we talked about it on here before, so I won't go into it too much. But yeah, I'm excited. And one thing that really pleases me about this is that it's from what I got, it's going to be a TV show as opposed to or some sort of episodic thing as opposed to a movie, because I don't know that Star Trek's ethical conundrums really fit the format of a single entry in a movie, because movies themselves are almost inherently much more grand in scale, especially with the audience they're trying to appeal to from spending all that money. You can have a 90-minute episode and it's the same length, but I think it would better handle like
it doesn't have to establish so much that a movie does most of the time, and pick a franchise that started as a show and then put out a movie or two at some point, right? I'm going to use this example just because I distinctly remember my mother talking about it. But when we were young and Pokemon first became big in the U.S., right? The show came over and that movie came out. That first movie.
That made everyone cry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I'm like 10 or 11 or whatever when this movie comes out. And, our parents take me and my Pokemon loving friends to see it. And I remember overhearing, after the fact, I don't know exactly what the context was. I think my mom might have been on the phone with one of her girlfriends or something. Her saying something to the effect of, no idea what was going on. Right? And because that movie didn't really set anything up, because it was made for people who are familiar with the franchise.
The characters are already established.
Most of whom are kids.
The world
we know
is
who
developed.
Ash Ketchum and Pikachu and Misty and Brock are.
Right. You know what Pokemon are and how they work.
Every Pokemon in that show, it was still 151 at that point. Like, it was still the beginning of the franchise as a whole, right? So, that didn't need any explaining for us, but our parents had no fucking idea. Like, what Pokemans? Oh, why is that a dinosaur with a big plant on its back? That's dumb. Oh, fire-breathing dragon!
I really
look
believe
at that.
that your mom talks like this.
She does. I've seen her.
Yeah, it's
At that volume all the time.
Oh yeah,
She eats a lot of cheese too.
but
What?
Bobby.
She loves cheese. She talks like that. She cracks backs.
Wait, are you saying she's Linda from Bob's
Bob's
Burgers? She's like the ultimate mom. I love her.
She's the mommest mom of all of cartoon.
Mommy doesn't get drunk. She gets fun. I think that's what she says. Like, yeah. She just gets fun.
No, my mom is not Linda from Bob's Burgers. But, yeah, so with a movie, you have to. First of all, most of them do not come out of some established thing unless it is simply a retelling of that established thing in movie form, be it a reboot of a movie, god damn it, or it was a book, right, or something. And the reason why our parents had no idea what the hell was going on in Pokemon is because that movie made no attempt to establish these characters because they did not feel the need, kind of appropriately. But when you reboot a franchise that, like Star Trek did, they kind of have to set up these characters again, even though we know the names and some of the personalities carry over. Spock is constantly flirting with going fucking nuts and punching someone's face in the 2009 movie.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And does so because Khan! Shameless callback with insufficient context and zero creativity. Thanks.
Thank
Thanks.
I don't think you need all
J.J.
this context
Abrams.
in order to make a good movie. And I cite as my source every porno plot.
That's funny, but I mean, you're not wrong in real life either.
Yeah. Hey, there's a lot of lemons stealing whores in this neighborhood. Look at that whore stealing lemons. Let's bang. That was a
Well-
great film.
To argue,
Yeah.
all they do is provide context and then content.
Well, look at
I'm doing my homework.
The sexiest schoolgirl ever.
Yeah.
I'm doing my homework.
Look at Reservoir Dogs and The Hateful Eight, two Tarantino movies.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them take place in one room.
Did he
Right.
before or after build his pizza snack empire relative to becoming a director?
Do they keep it in a bank?
Tarantino's Pizza Rolls, yes, very good. Excellent work.
Found at the Pizza Bank.
But both of these movies, the characters just show up and they have to interact with each other in a room, and then the plot happens. Obviously, everybody dies because it's Quentin Tarantino. Spectacularly, I might add. But, the point is, you don't have to go out of your way to set these characters up if it's a character-driven movie, because they'll
tell you who
they will
are,
unravel as the movie happens for you. Other movies will take the time to set things up a little more on the nose, which is also fine.
Literally every superhero movie.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. Do we need a fourth Spider-Man reboot?
No.
Nope. Tom Holland's the best.
I thought
No.
that Jack Nicklaus was the best Spider-Man.
Shut
No, that was
up.
Tony Stark, I think, that had the best rendition.
There's not really a Jack Nicklaus Spider-Man, right?
No, you didn't see that?
No.
Wait, what?
No, he's lying.
If you're listening to this, you can't see my face, but it's one of complete dejection.
Danny DeVito as
Thank you.
Spider-Man.
How about
Rum ham.
Uncle
Spires
Andros.
Lab.
What's his uncle's name? Uncle
Ben
Jim?
Uncle Andros?
What the fuck?
Star Fox?
Yeah.
It's Uncle Ben.
Andros.
Mary Jane.
What if we got Danny DeVito playing Jack Nicklaus playing the Joker?
Oh
Us
shit!
personally
you
will get
basically
Danny
have
DeVito.
face off there.
But Danny DeVito's already the Penguin, so.
The Penguin is different universe. He DC.
Versus Marvel. Yeah, he can be both.
Ah!
Ah.
Doesn't exist anymore anyway.
I want Danny DeVito to still play like a 14-year-old boy
Yes.
Spider-Man in high school, dating other high schoolers.
Oh my god.
Could you imagine being
Oh,
like-
these hewers.
You gotta pay the troll toll to get in.
Get on that boy's hole.
Could you imagine like being an actress and like you're a 16-year-old actress
You
and you're
have to be romantically interested in
and you
Danny
have
DeVito.
you have to make
Hey,
out
honey.
with Danny DeVito multiple times.
No. We all know it would be like a 29-year-old
How would
actress
you like to be a bang maid?
29 playing 16.
playing 12,
Playing
dating Danny DeVito, who's a senior
No,
in
but
high
how-
school.
who is actually Frank from It's Always Sunny in real life.
Oh, Miss C, I just dropped my wallet with my Magnum
Magnum
condoms
dong.
for my Magnum dong. Oh, Peter Parker, go to camera class. You goofball.
Camera class.
Plays
Object
hooky,
class.
goes
Not
to the local
photography,
bar.
camera class.
Damn it, I got a D in table class.
Could you imagine if It's Always Sunny did an episode where Frank became Spider-Man and he like plays hooky,
He
cuts
did
class?
play Man Spider.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Oh my god, he already has the costume that's Danny
already
DeVito
happened.
sized. Has to be it.
Warner Brothers.
already happened.
And or whoever owns this IP.
Sony,
But
or
I want
think
the
maybe
rest
they
of the
sold it.
movie to be completely serious. I want everybody to be playing it straight.
No, it is serious.
And It's Always Sunny, you know, there's all the other characters.
Yeah,
but
so it's just gotta
Danny
be
DeVito
strictly Danny
is a child Spider-Man. That's really what I'm looking
Child
for.
man spider.
Or actually,
Whoa.
can we make him? Can we make Danny DeVito the captain of a Romulan warbird that Jean-Luc has to encounter? Right, and then let's get
Yes, please.
let's
Oh my
get Gilbert
Jesus.
Godfrey
Oh my
Oh,
god.
no.
as the captain of a Klingon ship. Oh, shit, who else? Who's good?
boy.
And
I wanna
Nicolas
see Danny
Cage
DeVito,
as
though,
the
as
head
the-
Vulcan.
How about Wilford Brimley as
This is the
like,
amazing stuff
the
that's
chief
totally
of
different he's
security
talking about.
for Picard's Enterprise or whatever warship?
Wilford
Card, we
Brimley-
need you to come back into battle. Here's your diabetes rep.
Well, he's
Yeah, and Picard's old,
I'll
so he actually
lower
has
shields.
diabetes. And then Wilford Brimley gives him his diabetes. He gives him his insulin shots.
I get my shot from Liberty Medical.
well, Wilford Brimley is dead.
Is he?
Yes.
Yeah,
Just
Are you
Weekend
sure?
at Bernie's.
Are
then.
you
he had
sure?
diabetes.
Are you sure?
Because he's still in the ranch. So unless someone invented necromancy and didn't tell me,
I think he's
Oh, you
immortal.
don't invoke necromancy?
He died like 7 years ago.
Are you sure?
No, I thought Paul Hogan was American today, so anything is possible.
Are
That's
you
true, he did.
sure?
No, did he
mean-
die? Tell me,
Let's
Jake.
find out.
Oh my!
he is 100% still alive.
Yep.
You watched the ranch.
What?
You saw
83
him.
years old.
Yeah.
Why did he stop doing Liberty Medical
He
Supply commercials?
still does, doesn't he?
What? I thought he
don't know.
died
I don't
and
watch
stopped.
TV.
No.
Maybe he found a better brand for Beatus stuff.
For one thing, I knew he was likely still alive because I watch a shitload of Best of the Worst, and he is an actor, and who was in a
Likely
lot of
still
cheap movies.
alive.
And they, the cast of that show, answered this question, but that episode aired like a year or two ago. So checking right now, he still has no date of death.
So perhaps
there's
he
time.
will appear with his Liberty Medical Supplies, and the replicator will be dead. And as Gilbert,
He is the replicator is voiced, and it's him.
no. As,
That would be
As-
amazing.
What do you mean
as
you need
Gilbert
another gin and
Gottfried-
tonic?
as Gilbert Gottfried goes rogue and attacks not just Danny DeVito and the Romulan Warbird, but also Captain Jean-Luc in his newest flagship.
I would watch this movie.
See, I need to see
It is on
this.
the edge of...
But my ears already hurt.
It is on the edge of being destroyed, and Nick Cage is like, "Oh, I believe I'm feeling an emotion called love," and that's my Nick Cage's Keanu Reeves apparently. And then fucking John Luke's like, "I will save us because
Sean
I'm
Connery?
Sean Connery."
Apparently,
Sean Connery's there too.
But he starts dozing off because he ran out of sugar. And
it's like stroking out Jean-Luc Picard.
Wilford Brimley's going to be like, "I've got my Liberty medical supplies and I can help you." And then everything will be saved by him because the replicator was exploded.
A hero that we need.
Not the one we deserve.
Not the one we deserve. Just the one we need.
But the one we ordered off Amazon.
The one that, delivers free to your door.
Maybe they'll have like
Papa John.
Takes Medicare.
Oh my goodness. Takes Medicare. What about Medicaid?
I
Also,
watched a
yes.
commercial today, and they were talking about it was for like a leg brace, and they're like, "We take Medicare for the ankle," and it was. I just got to watch like
Did
close
that
up,
person die in the middle of the sentence?
relatively close up shots of, like not like really close, but covered. The whole screen was full with like a 16-inch. 16 by 16-inch area.
Magnum dong.
It was just, they were just rubbing
Someone's
these
ankle?
old joints, rubbing their ankles, rubbing their wrists,
My
rubbing
joints
their
feel so
Trying to
good.
get you fired up.
like, "Buy our brace, watch me rub."
What?
Who the fuck directed that?
What? No.
The porn directors that you like,
Wilford Brimley.
that you're
Is he
advocating
a
for.
porn director?
Yes.
Okay.
It's such a classy name. How could you not?
I just want to
Now
have.
take your Magnum dong and I'm gonna leave it there.
Put it in
Is he like? Is it a how?
I was gonna leave it there, but go ahead, pick it up.
Liberty Medical Supplies easy carry case.
If your erection lasts longer than 4 hours, we're gonna run out of film.
And then it's just 4 hours of that happening.
Oh, no.
4 hours of is Wilford pointing
And
the
then a
camera.
call to 911.
Wilford pointing the camera in the wrong direction, so it's just 4 hours of him heavy
Just him
breathing.
watching.
Heavy breathing.
Peers into it, kind of checking the focus and like looking. Oh, yeah, this looks good.
So are we ever gonna? Is
Have
Jordy ever?
Wilford Brimley on the show.
He's been on the show several times.
Jordy went creep on one
LeVar
of
Burton?
his shipmates in an episode. If you remember, he replicated her, and they
Oh, yeah, a little
they
bit.
were dating. I want him to
Oh.
like be in. He did this on the holodeck. The holodeck can make things that you can physically interact with. I want him to be in hollow prison.
For
Because
that
Well, I think
weirdness.
he couldn't get over his hollow romanticism.
I think it was.
That's a
I
word.
don't think that was his initial intent. He like didn't expect to ever meet this person and was like using, because she was like an engineer who worked on the Enterprise, and he
Yeah.
was like getting information from her, and it was just more efficient to have someone who could like a facsimile of her to just talk to him.
Yeah.
To feed him the information he needed as he was working on something urgent. I think it's been a
Yeah,
little
that's
while.
what it was. The ship
Yeah,
was
and
gonna
then-
explode or something.
And then, of course, it wasn't really her. So, and whatever personality thing the holodeck gave her a more amicable personality than she really had. And they had this kind of weird. He caught feels. Like,
Yeah.
she's just a not even approaching real, but was
Holodecks
close
have
enough
feelings.
to it that it kind of tricked his mammal brain for just long enough. And then when she actually shows up in the flesh and is a completely different person, and she finds out about the thing eventually, and then about the holotape or holotape is Fallout.
Holodeck.
Hollow Suite, holodeck.
Yeah,
Hollows. There's
more you
hollows.
clap, the
This
more
is
you-
now Bleach.
Yep.
Go on.
people got upset with Jordy for that, and I was like, I think it's not real. He fell in love with a computer program. We've all done it. We've all fallen in love with Data of some sort.
Data.
How could you not?
I have fallen in love with Lieutenant Commander Data.
He's
He's got those
In a-
sweet, dreamy robotic eyes and
Yellow
glittery skin.
eyes.
Yeah, I know.
Listen.
It's so soothing.
Love-
Glitter skin gets it.
Love of just need him in my house to be my best friend forever.
I want to have a good Star Trek video game come out because I don't know of any of them.
Are there Star Trek games?
There are plenty. There was one in the arcade that was fucking impossible. You had to shoot the Borg, and then they would adapt to it after you killed 3 of them. And I guess you had to cycle your phaser, and I could never figure out how to do it. And then I would just get slashed.
There is like a ship fighting one. It's like I know it's in real time. It's like I'm pretty sure it's free to play with microtransactions and whatnot for computer. I never checked it out. I did have some friends playing it though.
I think I picked it up when it first came out, and I was really like, this is going to be malware. But I played it for a little bit, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, but it clearly was way more work than I wanted to put into it.
What if it was like fake malware and it was the Borg taking over your computer? And
Oh
that was
my
the
god!
game. Like an escape room game for your computer.
Kill me.
Okay.
If you're
Well,
hearing this,
those are
please
2
kill
things
me.
that we're both really excited about. Devil May...
Cry.
Weep heavily.
Devil May Weep, and then Star Scream, the future generation.
It's a future.
Star
Well,
Trek.
here's the thing. I mean,
Future.
you know,
Past generation.
Michael Jackson dropped dead when he's about to have his comeback career. Lil Peep.
No. It's not related.
That's a bit of a leap.
Little leap for Lil Peep. He
No.
Little
now
leap to his death.
the ancient Sir Patrick Stewart said, I'm going to make a new show and it's going to be awesome.
Was that? That wasn't.
That was
And then
Patrick Stewart.
and
Better than Sean Connery.
I'm worried he's going to die. I'm worried
I'm worried he's jinxed
You're worried
himself.
everyone's gonna die.
Not worried about everybody, not even everybody in this room.
Ooh.
I wasn't afraid of death. I knew that was coming for all of us. Wilford Brimley, one of his commercials. Quote.
Shut
End
the
quote.
fuck up.
Well,
Was he advertising
Liberty Medical or whatever.
No, he was advertising transcripts of veteran flashbacks. Who, Jesus Christ!
What?
We were on a hill, and I knew death was coming for all of us, but I wasn't worried because we're all meant to die.
He's
And then we all
advertising
did,
for them.
except for me, who cannot.
I am immortal.
I've had diabetes since birth, but I'll never die.
Survivor's guilt.
That's why it's
since that
called
day.
diabetes.
I beat us. You beat the dying.
I can't die. 'cause
All right,
I
here's our
already
break.
died of
Fine,
beatus.
pull the plug.
Diabetes.
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 Please
Diabetes.
die
All
this
right.
channel.
Hey, you know, I
Diabetes.
played a new video game this week.
Good, we'll talk about it later. Break time.
Dumbledore.
Noises too, everyone.
I feel like
You don't say.
I feel like you've all finally flown out of the nest, little baby birds.
We're literally sober.
Did I ever
Frank
tell you?
has had one beer.
Did I ever tell you I watched some baby birds take their first flight?
They die?
They crashed pretty hard right into the ground.
Did he crash pretty hard there?
Yeah. Is that how I'm talking? Oh no.
Oh yeah, is that how I'm talking there?
What are you doing to me? Stop it!
Ah,
It's
thanks,
'cause
Jake. I like it.
It's probably because I
Good.
fucking saw him doing it up at camp, and that I.
Oh, really?
I'm a different man at camp.
You better believe it, buddy.
Butty.
Butty, not buddy.
Booty.
Butty.
Anyway.
All right, Frankenstein. Your turn. Path of Flexile.
Flexile.
Path of
It's
Textiles.
just you're building skills and getting yoked.
Yeah. Path of Textiles.
Math of reptiles.
Staff of Erectiles.
Ah.
Do they function okay?
It's a whole staff of them?
They make a pillow if they don't.
Okay. So,
Map of textiles.
for those who have not heard of the game,
I got excited.
there is a game called Path of Exile. It is, in more ways, the better sequel to Diablo 2 than Diablo 3 is, right? This game was designed
fired.
pretty much with entirely replicating how much fun Diablo 2 was in a more modern game, released about 5 years ago, free to play, and it continues that way until this very day. So this game costs you absolutely nothing.
For now.
Ever. That's about as good of a deal as you can get. I played this game about 5 years ago when it first came out as Diablo 3, which I have talked about before, and its not so great start. I've mentioned before, Diablo 3 released in late 2012. It was not a very good game. Blizzard somehow managed to resurrect it from the dead and turn it into a pretty damn good game, but that took a while. It basically took 2 years, I think, until the first expansion, Reaper of Souls, came out. And until that point, people were very disappointed in it, for the most part. The game that filled the void for a lot of players who missed a good dungeon crawler action RPG loot-based game was Path of Exile. Now, when Path of Exile first came out, everybody loved the gameplay, but it was released as a free-to-play, unfinished, early access game back before that was a common thing. And I think they planned, and I think it is the case that they had like 5 to 7 basically acts of the story planned, and they were done 2. So there wasn't, everyone knew it wasn't a complete game, and they had all these plans for it. It just wasn't finished, and they released it anyway. And it still brought in a huge amount of applause, mostly, like I said, because of the mechanics. So, fast forward 5 years, I'd not forgotten about the game, but haven't really played, and I realized there's now an Xbox version, which is vastly... I know that I am a member of the PC Master Race that enjoys PC gaming generally more, but I also have a $500 gaming machine that is an Xbox One X and a 60-inch 4K TV, a very comfortable computer chair that I plop in front of that so that I can sit 4 feet from my massive TV. I like playing on my console, is my point. And this game was released for Xbox One, so I downloaded it, especially since it's free, and I remember why I liked it so much and why I liked Diablo 2 so much. It is, like I said, an action RPG that is entirely loot-based, so you pick a class, and pretty much your power is determined almost entirely by the gear that you have.
Can I ask you to pause for a second? 'Cause
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what's happening with Bill right now.
Bill's having a conniption of some sort.
Remember how earlier we talked about the mystery fart on one of our previous episodes?
Did you just fart, Bill?
No, I didn't. But I did think about leaning forward and doing that hands on your mouth fart right in the middle of Frank talking, and then like really hoping that he would get the idea and just keep rolling so we could pretend that was the new secret fart. But I didn't do it. I just started to laugh instead.
Oh my god.
All right, restart.
Power through.
Refart.
So, it's an action RPG game, loot-based, so most of the power that you get comes from randomly generated stuff dropped by the enemies that you killed. Like I said, you pick a class. There's a couple different ones. You've got, your typical barbarian-style class that you use big things and wear heavy armor and beat the shit out of stuff with large weapons called a marauder. There is a Templar, Paladin, Cleric type thing, Holy Warrior, I guess you could call it. I believe they call it a Templar. And that one uses, holy magic and whatnot. You've got a Witch that uses the normal magic you would expect. A assassin-y type roguish class that is, an assassin type deal. I can't remember what else there is.
You're a necromancing class?
Well, that's included in the Witch, right? Which is what I went with, by the way.
Yeah, that's my jam.
Yeah.
I like Vampiric Touch. I live as you die.
And I think there is like a fighting, like lighter fighter, if that makes sense, right? So you've got the Barbarian. Think of that as like giant two-handed warhammer, right? And then there's more of like a duelist type. It actually even might be called the duelist. Yeah, exactly. Frenchy.
Yeah.
But so I think it would be a rapier in French.
That's what I said.
Oh,
I thought that is what I said.
maybe, whatever. I don't understand it. So most of the power that you get is derived from the weapons that are dropped by the enemies that you kill. So you walk out into the world, there's tons of mostly very weak enemies, and you just slaughter them, right? Right from the beginning, you just beating on shit left and right, or magicking shit left and right, and they all drop stuff, and you might want to pick it up, you might not, depending on how good it is.
What game was this?
Path of Exile.
Invasion of Iraq?
Yes. And
Featuring 50 Cent.
But it's of rock.
so
Like a single rock.
Yes. So the basic premise of the story is that you did something bad and now you're sent to some island filled with other people who are all exiled, hence the game Path of Exile. And you just like fight your way through these terrible places with lots of undead and other monsters crawling around. And somehow they all drop magical weapons and shit. And also importantly, one of the mechanics I like, pretty much all of the major abilities come from these little runes or gems or things that are dropped that you socket into the equipment that you wear. And that gives you your abilities. And then on top of that, there is and I do not use this term lightly, and everyone else here can attest, as Jake has kindly brought it up on the screen for us to all gaze at, is the skill tree, which is absolutely monstrous. And these are all passive skills. Every time you level up, you get to pick one. There is nothing preventing any one class from taking any one of those passive abilities, right? Anybody can take anything. It's just you start in one particular place, and stuff that is good for one class is centered around where that class starts, so you got to work your way over there, right?
Right.
But you could play your character however you want. So this provides essentially an unlimited way for you to play the game, an unlimited different number of different ways to play the game.
It is truly a remarkable skill tree. I mean, I can't think of anything close to it.
It reminds me of did everyone here play Final Fantasy X?
Mm-mm.
No.
I have.
You know, like the skill tree that they use in there. That
Yeah.
I can't remember. It's called like spheres or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me kind of that.
It looked like I can see why,
Yeah.
but this is obviously much larger.
And much more in
I'm
depth.
going to estimate 45,000 different skills.
It's a good estimate.
That's about right.
Yep.
I mean, add a few zeros to that probably for the number of combinations. But
60 quintillion.
the whole slotting of things into your equipment reminds me very much of Final Fantasy VII.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you can take different pieces of armor or whatever and put in gemstones to power them up, and then you find a new base armor and you put the stones in there to power that shit up.
Yep.
That's fucking dope. I played a game like that. It wasn't Final Fantasy, but I really enjoyed that mechanic.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, and one of the things that just really brings it to a new level is that not only do you level up, but the gems that you socket into your equipment level up as well.
No way.
So you level up, you take these passive skills to increase your base character, and then the gems that you find level up as well and increase their abilities. So as a witch, the first gem that I found was the fireball ability, basically. So you plug it into your weapon or one of your other things, and you get the ability to do a fireball, right? And it goes and it explodes and it kills things and it does damage. And then as you level it up, it does more damage. It costs less mana. All the things that you would want it to do. It has a bigger AoE effect, whatever. Also, each gem has a different color, and all of your weapons and armor, their slots are color-coded as well. So a red gem can only go in a red slot, a blue one. So it really makes, if you find like a much better piece of armor, and it's got, let's say, 3 red slots, and your most powerful gems that you want to keep in that armor are blue, you got to make a choice. Do you need to go out and find some blue gems and level them up to put them in your nice new shiny armor? Or do you just say, well, this is pretty cool, but I use red gems and this is all blue gems? Right? So it makes you make those kind of decisions.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Also, there's no in-game currency.
What?
Yeah, no in-game currency.
Do you only get things from drops then?
So you get things from drops. There is like a buy and sell mechanic, but you basically you get crafting material.
Okay.
So there's no.
So it's barter.
Yeah, it's more barter. But and I haven't gotten far enough to like get to the point where you would normally like break a game, like in Skyrim, where you essentially, after 200 or 300 hours of playing, have a character that has more money than anything in the like you
rival any Jarl.
Yeah, you have more money than you
Or national government.
You're just running around fucking up the land.
You're just siphoning the economy into this black pit that is your worldly possessions and no one else's. Because you're Dragonborn and you have a fucking horde.
Yeah.
Of shiny shit.
And it's
no one else can have.
It's like that, it seems, in most modern RPGs. It's almost like in single player RPGs, it's basically if real world economics applied, you alone would just cause like Venezuelan level inflation. Mm-hmm. Because you just accumulate so much stuff that so little stuff is available to everyone else that they all fight so much for it that everything is worth so much.
Yeah.
And this game manages to fight that because unlike in other games like in Diablo, right, and World of Warcraft, and I don't mean the single Blizzard games out, those are just the two that come first to mind. RuneScape is another great example of this. After a while of the game existing, it just seems like from the natural, like you have these players that play for hundreds or thousands of hours a year. Sometimes you have them play hundreds of hours a month, and they create so much gold or in-game currency that it's essentially worthless, right? It costs hundreds of millions or billions of pieces of gold or whatever their in-game currency is to do anything useful whatsoever because there's so much of it sloshing around. This game has managed to prevent that.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
This seems like a really well thought out game.
It really is, and it's one of those things where mechanically the game is just so perfect, right? But you look at the game graphically for a modern game, it's good, but it's not impressive at all. Its story is good, but once again, nothing that's gonna really. It's not a page turner, right? I mean, as far as production value goes,
if you're turning pages while you're playing video games, you're probably not doing it right.
That's true. You're going to have a very difficult time achieving that. But the production value in general is like it seems like a bunch of guys who haven't really made too many video games or ever made a video game before just we're like, all right, yeah, let's just work on this in our spare time. But it once again shows, and I've said this time and time again, if you create a game with good mechanics and that rewards players for doing the fun stuff in it, it will be successful.
That's very reminiscent of my opinion of Fury.
Yeah.
Which also has no economy to speak of, no items or crafting. It's just a bare bones character action game.
Yep.
And that's why it's perfect, because it has no frills and it does what it wants to exceedingly well.
Yeah. I understand that. Look, there's all sorts of different gamers out there that like different things, and I'll always understand the desire of a gaming company, for business reasons or not, to cater to as many of them as possible. If you're very passionate about something that you make, whether it's a piece of art or something useful like a tool or furniture, it doesn't matter. If you make something and you really enjoy making it, like the people who make video games do, you want other people to share in that enjoyment. So if you're making something and you put a lot of effort into it and you really enjoy it and you're really passionate about it, you want to try and figure out a way to make it as enjoyable for the most number of people possible. So you add all this stuff in there that people, you find, oh, there's a ton of people out there that love crafting, so I'm going to have a really intricate crafting system. And there's a ton of people out there that like it, it doesn't matter. Pick something really interesting, cool looking weapons with great art so that they could, practice drawing their own art and make their own weapon, copy the drawings we have in game. And eventually you get to a game where it seems it's like a lot of software out there. It's just feature overload, where they have a ton of features. A lot of them really aren't done that well anyway.
Yeah.
And most people don't use most of them.
Yeah, and it misses the core functionality.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's something about Civ 5 that does that for me. It's like the putting specialists into cities.
Yeah.
I've never used that function. I've never wanted to try that. So much is going on whenever I'm playing that game that it doesn't even phase me as like an issue or something I should be taking advantage of. And it probably would help, and it's an extra level
very helpful
gameplay, but I just never do it.
This another game that we play is a turn-based strategy game called Civilization 5, and you manage cities. You can manage them individually, and you can assign
like positions or roles within the cities based on people's specialties. So like every so many turns or points you gather for special people, you get like a skilled, I'm not even sure what they're like, military. You
can get a great general,
artist.
Great admiral,
there you go. Thank you.
Great person,
writer. Yeah,
which is different from specialists.
Sorry,
yes.
thank you. You're right. But you can put like a great artist in one of the museums you build. But
this is the kind of thing that we're talking about. It's like Frank says, "Oh, I use those; they're great," and then I don't know. There might be 10 people who don't use it. I think the general rule is like 80% of your user base only uses 20% of your features.
Yeah, but see, and one thing is, so for Civilization, which I think is an excellently designed game, right?
Right.
They make it so that you've got different difficulties, and if you're playing on Prince, you don't need to fuck around with the individual citizens of each city, because your bonuses that you get as a player versus the computer are high enough that micromanaging your individual citizens in each city isn't like it doesn't matter. You should still be able to stomp all over the computer anyway, even if you skip that part entirely. What that is important for is somebody who wants to play, say, like King or most likely Emperor or higher, where you get no bonuses at all against the computer, or you start at a disadvantage to the computer, and you really need to micromanage and maximize every single person, each population of every city, in order to work the bonuses correctly together to overcome the computer.
Mm-hmm. So, are you saying Path of Exile sort of sheds that shortfall?
No, I'm saying Path of Exile, what it does is it boils down a loot, basically a dungeon crawling looting game, to something that is fun to play and makes you want to go out there and go through dungeons and collect loot. And
like go outside and play in the real world.
Yeah, no.
And collect loot.
Yeah.
And collect loot.
And shove stones into swords that you find.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to hear more about Civilization 5, as we mentioned earlier in the podcast, it's episode 4 or 5 of the show. You'll have to bear with the audio quality, but it's definitely one of our best ones of the early iterations. And we go, Frank and I both in particular, go very in depth.
Ooh, yeah. Really informative episode.
Yeah. But yeah, so your overall impression of Path of Exile here, there, Frankie boy?
It's a great game. that does what you want a game to do, which is provide you a really good set of tools to make your own thing out of it. This game is about the character that you create that picks the abilities you want to use and uses them to go kill a bunch of really cool monsters. And they provide a lot of fun stuff. They do like weekly, monthly, daily challenges. They'll do a thing where you start a fresh character and you have to get as high of a level as you can in 30 minutes. So it's like a quick little, like leaderboard. Maybe 1,000 people will play.
Like arcadey subversions.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They have weekly and monthly, like I said, subversion or tournaments and whatnot, where you start a new character, or maybe you start already at the max level, and you just see who can do the most damage. So basically, like they'll have like a set dungeon where you have to try and go through it in a certain amount of time, or kill the most enemies in a certain amount of time, or deal the most damage to an enemy, or some stuff like that.
This sounds tremendous. I'm sold on this game. I'd seen it before and
free.
never really gave it a second thought.
It's one of those things, like, what do you have to lose other than potentially like
Some
2 or
time.
3 hours? Yeah,
500
It's
hours
time.
of your time.
I mean, dude, I've never played these types of games very much. I've got my hands on a little bit of Diablo 3 when you guys were playing that really heavy, but this might be the gateway drug for me.
yeah. No,
On your
it's a lot of fun. Let me look up one thing here.
Maybe we'll become the greatest Path of Exile players of all time.
I'm pretty sure I already am. I haven't played it yet, so I'm just saying, call dibs.
Oh,
I forgot. I'm sorry.
I call dibs.
I'm sorry I made that
It's
mistake.
fine. Yeah, I forgive you. But yeah, as soon as we're done wrapping this up, we'll head over to Steam sale.
But Frank is procuring data.
Yeah, no, I was
You're
wondering
crazy.
if they had cross-platform support. Unfortunately, they don't, which is a little disappointing.
Ugh.
Ooh.
There's no reason that a game like this shouldn't have cross-platform, because it's not like you're gonna have a distinct advantage between controller players and keyboard mouse.
You'll
players.
have a slight advantage, but like, I don't know. You can choose not to play PvP anyway. You know what I mean? Like, this is primarily a PvE game, so as long as you're player versus enemy, so player versus the computer basically, and it's
Path versus Exile.
yes.
I think on that though, I think we should end that and move on to Steam. How about that?
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thank you, Frank. That was really good.
All right.
That was really good, Frank. Good job.
He's a good boy. So,
I didn't mean that.
Steam.
I didn't mean it to sound like a dog.
Wow. Okay, so I did not think that said what it.
Well, I did miss
say.
it.
Post
Post-scrotum. Post-scrotum.
You knew
You're right.
I read-
Post-scriptum is now post-scrotum.
There's a
on
game
my
on here.
on
Life
my
after scrotum.
on my featured and recommended slot on my Steam.
No.
is a
Look,
game
even the
that is not
other part, the
Scrotum.
bloody, and it definitely looks like it says semen.
The bloody 7 something.
No.
Seven.
What does it even actually say?
What are you talking about?
Go back to
No,
bloody
for
scrotum.
the-
Bloody scrotum. I got post-scrotum. The bloody...
Seventh.
Is it just... Okay.
Oh,
They
Pretty
should
sure
have...
this is a World
no.
War II tank game.
post
But
which-
it's about
Which is not on sale at the moment. So,
Post-scrotum.
moving on.
scrotum.
But it's in euros? Is your money
Bloody
listed in
semen.
euros?
No, don't worry about it.
Post-scrotum bloody semen.
It's one of those nights. I don't know.
Oh, man.
Okay. Evo Championship Series weekend sale.
What
Oh,
is Evo? Does anyone know?
Extra virgin
click
olive
it.
oil.
Hold up a second, everyone.
Virgin oil.
Everyone, shut up. Everyone is talking over everyone else,
Evo.
and my prices are showing in euros, and we're back to dollars. Okay, we're good.
Wow.
So, special offers.
XCOM, give it to you. What?
XCOM 2. This
20
game I've been
bucks.
waiting for. It comes down to $20 every so often. It's worth it. It's a good game. If it got down to 15, I would have to snag it.
Look, waiting for you to get it on your own.
XCOM 2 is another turn-based squad battle game. You know, there's like 6 aliens. You don't really know where they are, and they
We
have
talked about
different
it at
powers.
length on another episode.
Yeah. And then you have your squad mates, and they level up, and sometimes they get really scared and run away, and it's good fun. Very hard. What the hell is Life Goes On for 80% off?
I just want to say I saw Free Weekend. I wanted to make it Freakend. And that's how weird that sounds.
Ooh, is this like a cute
Freakend.
little, this almost looks
Oh,
like
it's
a,
like Castle Crashers.
this almost looks like a cute roguelike.
How much is it?
$259.
That's not bad.
It looks pretty funny.
Oh, so it's like a little platformer.
Yeah.
Frank is amused.
I
Looks
am
pretty
amused.
funny.
Oh, it's one of these little games.
A little,
These are
little
always entertaining.
platformer,
Yeah.
2D side scroller
Aw.
kind of thing with.
I like it.
It looks like environment puzzles. So you jump in a cannon and it shoots you at a box, and then you burn up in a flame.
Wait, what? Wait, are you
Aw,
playing one
look,
person
You're
or
like
two?
a little Templar Knight.
But like a
I
robot
like
knight.
games that poke fun at very violent deaths.
Yes.
Which is very much what this is doing.
Yeah, very
The
cartoonish
characters
He
are
death.
routinely
impales
getting-
himself on spikes in order to climb up
And
a
like
wall.
through gears and
Yeah,
Saws.
this character is dying a lot, and it seems like
oh, you become death or
New
there's-
Knight's just
there's
coming
death.
behind him.
Overwhelmingly positive reviews.
You would know all about that, wouldn't you, Jake?
Oh, you have
Oh!
to play as multiples
behind
of
him?
them in order to build
I don't
up
get
Okay.
environment of bodies with which to manage
Yeah,
the
you
terrain.
use the zombie
What?
technique here.
What?
I think it's just like a fuck you game. Like you play it just to get irritated.
Yeah, 80% off down from
For
13
like
bucks.
Oh my God.
$260? That's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
It might be. It's already on track to
It's
be
like 2.5 hours worth of
my
gameplay.
pick.
Probably.
Like, how do you not like that? There's a spike, like a whole pit of like death spikes.
Yeah, who
and,
doesn't
like,
love that?
Your plan is like, oh, normal games would require you to do something like clever to get around it. This one's like, no, just keep creating players, and then they'll all get stuck and fill the pit up, and you just run over their bodies.
Sometimes you just gotta sacrifice. Gotta take something for the team.
Sacrifice your soul to the deity of
Tekken.
death. He's concocted
Tekken
your murder.
7. All right,
That's
I'm
murder.
just gonna say this, and you guys can. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna say it. I don't care if you agree or
Just
disagree
say
with
it.
me. This
What
game,
is a bear?
I'm sure that it's a good game. I'm sure it's got some good mechanics, but I feel like you're paying. So it's originally still, what is that, $60, right? Normally
Price, yep.
on sale,
Seriously?
60% off for basically 20. I feel like you're basically paying for the Tekken brand name, and there's no way this game is worth $60. I feel like 20 new is a pretty close to a fair price.
I mean, there's so many
Yeah.
games. There are so many games out there that have mechanics equal to this series now, because everybody can just steal it.
Yeah.
It's mechanics. But this has the dress up of the characters and stuff. So
yeah, this is the name
Which
brand.
is just like a skin. Yeah, it's just a brand thing.
So if you like Tekken and you want to pay for the name brand, it's $20.
You do you.
Yeah, you do you.
Oh, that guy just kicked a kid.
board games weekend.
There's Tabletop Simulator.
Oh boy, that's literally just tabletop games.
Yeah.
All right,
But it's
I-
a simulator.
we don't need that.
Goat Simulator.
Can I point out
Goat Simulator is amazing.
something ridiculous?
Yes.
Roll20, the tabletop simulator online, for those of you who don't know, like Dungeons and Dragons and Pathfinder and all those shit, I learned that their rolling system for die uses like
Ones and zeros.
no, actually, like the voltage input to your computer to generate random numbers, so that it is truly random and not just like a pseudo random number from a seed that is initially input.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
All right,
How does that work exactly?
I don't know.
Yeah. They just measure the voltage input
Science.
and then
Science.
use the number from the voltage input to create a random number.
Okay,
That
these
is
are all
weird.
like card games and shit.
Are they? Board games.
Ooh,
How much is this?
Town of Salem. That looks kind of cool.
Looks like Hangman.
it just said 20 to 90% off.
Gremlins Incorporated.
Oh, okay. So you buy
We
these
play
individually.
Green
Oh, wait a
God's
minute.
Bank.
Scroll up a little bit, please. Blood Bowl. I've been reading about that game. You play as like
Medieval knights or
scary goblins against scary
Is it football?
trolls.
It looks
Yeah,
like
it's
football.
football.
goblins. I thought those
$6?
were people.
They might be people.
Is it just football?
I think it is.
Football or
But it's like
soccer?
weird football, turn-based, tile-based football.
Hmm.
Oh, maybe you are goblins. They do look kind of weirdo.
That's pretty funny.
Interesting.
How much is it?
It's 70% off at
$6.
$5.99. I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like a little much.
Yeah, for a game that might be really terrible.
Yeah, no.
Horrible.
Um, Solar Settlers. I'm always excited about a space
What is
colonization game, but this just looks like another card
Race
game.
for the Galaxy?
Well, it's the board game section, so
I know, I'm not surprised. Skyboats. Othello. Oh, Risk. Is that actually a good Risk version?
To Washington's.
Mostly negative. Probably not good.
$2 reviews.
I would have a
negative.
hard time believing that any of these are going to be.
Actually good.
Yeah.
I've never played a good online or a
House
good,
Flipper. We missed it. Oh, we're back to this.
I didn't mean to do
good
that.
computer version of Risk.
No, I don't think
I
it
want to see
exists.
House Flipper when that comes back up.
Absolver. Going Absolver.
It's doing
50% off, $14.99. This game is worth it. It is individual combat where in order to learn a technique, you have to see somebody else use it against you. Think like very directed technique, like from player input, and then whoever you're fighting has to block it if they don't want to be damaged, and you don't get like a ton of hits before you're just killed. The art style is pretty darn neat. It's
Looks
not
really
overly complex, but it's nice to look at. Everybody wears these like weird masks, and it's just like mostly unarmed with sometimes lightly armed combat in a very stylized overworld. I really, really think this is a cool game. For $14, I don't think you're going to go wrong.
It is interesting looking.
It looks like it plays very smooth.
It's all about the fighting mechanics, and they do a really, really nice job. I really like the addition that I think not only do you have to see a technique used on you that you've never seen to learn it, but you need to block it
okay.
twice.
New anti-cheat measures.
Oh,
Yeah,
I guess that was a problem.
I would guess since the reviews went from mixed to mostly positive recently.
Yeah.
Those look really cool. $15.
Once again, proving my point that good mechanics are the key to a good game.
House
Flipper. Wait, what? How much is it? It's still $16.99.
House Flipper is a unique chance to become one-man renovation crew, buy, repair, and remodel devastated homes. Give them
Oh
a
my
second life
god.
to solve
There's like roaches all
Oh my
over the
God.
floor and stains in the bathroom.
them. Who developed this? Imperial?
You get to destroy a house though. They're like
HGTV.
sledgehammering a wall.
Oh my god. This,
HGTV, the game.
It
really.
is.
yeah, but this looks like it was made by like a single dev, and it's sort of taking the piss.
Do you get to like deal with the people too who don't have jobs but want a
No.
1,000,000 square foot house?
like you have to like
Near the
clean.
beach?
You have to like learn how to fix things too.
This is basically Genevieve the game. You are gonna love this game.
Oh my god, you
Swiffer,
can
Swiffer.
mop.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Oh, it looks
No,
just
it
as
would
shitty
still
as
bother me.
Blackwake does, but Blackwake's a lot of fun, so I'm betting this is too. So you're just kind of like waving tools around in
this
the air,
was-
and it's applying effects to walls and stuff.
How many people out there do you think like play this game and take like a really shitty house and turn it into something really nice and live in a complete shithole? And,
Probably.
Like they'll mop up the floor of their fake house on this game, but they won't mop up the floor of their
Probably.
own.
Or they
kitchen.
play this and then think they can be an interior designer and actually flip houses.
All right, there was
It does not say
one
simulator
more.
on it, so I guess
Free weekend.
The job interview.
What the hell is Endless Space?
it's the freak end.
Usually, it's 66% off now, but play for
Dungeon
free
of
ends
the
in 16
Endless.
hours.
Is it really a dungeon then? If
What
it's
the hell is
endless?
this?
One of them's a dungeon. I don't know.
Is
You're a dungeon.
They're all
space-
endless.
strategic space opera?
Is there singing?
Turn-based 4X strategy game. Okay. Well, Frank, this might be right up your alley. Oh, I've seen this before. I think it's on my wish list, but I've never actually picked it up.
Well, now it's on sale.
I'm watching a video right now, some art stuff.
The style looks really
The only
interesting.
thing on my wish list right now is another beer.
I think they're talking a lot, but we have the volume down because we're doing an audio podcast. But as you can see,
What, in the
different
ad we're watching?
as you guys in the room can see, different planet management. It's like Civ in space, except probably a bigger cross between.
Is it
Age of Empires.
multiplayer or like an MMO or is it single player?
I think it's single player, or no. I don't fucking know.
What does the
It's a
It's a
description
space
say?
thing. You go find stuff, blow things up,
This looks
Boom.
pretty sweet.
colonize, whatever.
Does the description say single player, multiplayer? Published by Say. I thought it said develop Amplitude Studio. I haven't heard of them.
This makes me
So
This looks
old.
like
It's 6 years old.
This looks like another game that would be really fun to play, but I'd
is
have to
single
put
player.
100 hours into it to get good at it.
Yeah.
Well, there was
I mean,
4 of
6 was
them
about
on
when
sale
Jake's-
right now. This might not be the most recent version.
Starting dating his grandma, so I mean.
Buy Endless Universe Collection for $46. I mean,
That's a lot of stuff on there. What is all that?
that's not.
20 items.
Emperor Edition upgrade.
Wow.
What does that say? Skittles?
Skittles.
Chillers? I don't know.
They sent a package of Skittles to
Endless
your
Space
house.
2. Maybe click on that. That came out 2017. Here we go. Endless
Very
Space
positive
2 is a
reviews.
strategic space opera. What the fuck?
Featuring the compelling
Part
just
2.
one more turn. So it is turn-based.
The respacing.
Yeah, this looks like fun. I wish it had like an actual price on it. This is something I would jump
I
into.
think it
for-
said like 13 something. Yeah,
Yeah.
13.59 if you want to buy.
Oh, it's
free
got
to
different
play.
editions. Ugh.
Ugh.
I don't know what that just discourages me so much.
Why?
Because I don't know what version to pick. I don't want to pick up the shitty version. I don't want to get it and then really like it, and then I got to buy the DLC for $12 more.
Yeah.
Well, if you look at in this case, actually, it's a little different. Endless Space 2 Standard, $13.59. Digital Deluxe Upgrade to the Deluxe Edition, $3.73, which is not at all that bad.
Regularly $10 though. You know what I mean? What I was saying is, by the time I realize I want the upgrade, it'll
Oh,
be
yeah.
off
Off
sale.
sale.
Yeah.
So you pay more than you probably did.
But
for
if the
game.
sale comes around again, like, oh, the upgrade's on sale now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And it's yeah. That's a good way of doing it.
yeah. And like the Deluxe Edition, that's only a $10 difference there, too. This is $39.49 normally, $49.99.
Jake was thinking positively for once.
Yeah, this is actually sort of an exception to that rule,
Yeah.
but otherwise you'd be right.
I'm okay with developers saying like, all right, look, you can buy the standard edition for $60, right? Or the deluxe edition for $70. Now, if you buy the standard edition and you decide you want the deluxe edition, we'll charge you $12 to upgrade. So you're going to pay a little bit more, a slight premium to upgrade, right? Rather than taking the risk up front. But don't fucking gouge me, dude.
Yeah.
Like I'm already sinking $60 into your fucking game. Come on.
All right, let's take our picks. I'm going to go with Absolver because I'm not really a fighting game person, but that looks to be set up in such a way that I can get into it and become competitive. And I'm going to tack on Life Goes On because for $260, why not?
Yeah.
Let's go the other way around.
I honestly am a little underwhelmed at this spread. Absolver looks cool, but I don't think I'm gonna pick it up. Life Goes On is my pick.
I think Life Goes On is also the bet. The price is good, and it looks like fun enough.
Yeah, I think Life Goes On is good. It's just, you know what? I would pay like $3 to watch somebody play that game because it looks funny.
Because you're entertained by just watching.
I am.
a
I'm
little bit.
entertained by it.
We saw. I'm gonna have to go with Life Goes On as well.
Not you're full of shit. You're going to go home and purchase House
No.
Flipper, and you're going to fix that house up. I know it.
No, because I already have Sims, which is just
It's
like
totally
the same
different.
thing.
It's totally different.
House Flipper looked okay, but I don't think it was on sale enough. Like it was.
Yeah,
still,
it was
what?
still like $15
yeah,
or something.
That's
It's not.
worth it. If
You
it was
would get more than
$5, then that
If
would
they,
be.
yeah,
See, Absolver very much, I think, looks like it's worth $15.
yeah.
yeah.
It looks like it's worth full price.
Yeah.
It's
I
not
don't
quite
think it's
my
for me.
cup of tea for that price.
I just don't. It almost kind of is, except for I don't like playing other players. I kind of fell out of the. I've said it before. Multiplayer in general is not usually my thing.
So if it was just against computers,
Maybe. I mean, that's why I like Fury and Devil May Cry so much.
right?
But in principle, it still looks incredible, and I'm definitely going to look into it a little more.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us for our monumental 50th episode.
Boop, boop.
We hope that you stay with us as we grow and we keep giving you good content. And as always, cock 'em, lock 'em, and rock 'em, baby.
And will you tell all your friends
To
about our
subscribe.
podcast right now?
Eat.
This all was only wishful thinking.